And if he doesn't get on in time, we'll keep going. All right. Went live without the intro, apparently. That's why.
Yeah.
Hang on. We'll fix it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see that the intro was gone.
Yeah, I was fixing something else. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
There we go. 'Twas the night before the NFL draft, and all through the house, everybody's excited, even that little mouse. That's right, we're talking NFL draft here on Team NBS Draft Central. Of course, I am Jeff Barnes along with Greg Rector. Randall's hanging around the back room. He'll be on shortly. Bill Carroll will be joining us shortly as well. It is the night before the NFL draft. Greg, are you ready?
I am ready. We're entering a draft that you have never seen. I have never seen. 0 trades of the first round picks. What happens tomorrow, we will see. But as of right now, there are no first round picks that have been moved. And this hasn't happened since 1993, when 5 days before the draft, the Kansas City Chiefs acquired Mr. Montana from San Francisco. And that is the latest we've ever seen no first round picks being moved. So this is going to be an interesting draft, that's for sure.
Indeed. And I'll tell you what, I'm excited to get this going. There's been a lot of smoke screens. We're seeing a lot of talk now going on about certain, prospects. The low-hanging fruit is Shedeur Sanders. But in general, there's been a lot of things pushed around and talked around. And we'll get into it with the mocks.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be reflected in some of the mock drafts. But I'll say some of these newer GMs are doing a better job of playing poker. We didn't see that in the past with a lot of guys who said we're not going to do something. You knew they were doing it because you kept hearing the reports they were already talking about trading somebody or calling around and entertaining. And we saw what happened with those players that they eventually moved on from because they drafted the young guy, they moved on from him, and they got very little in return for the guy that they were moving on from because they put it out too soon. We're not seeing that this time around. Everybody's playing things close to the vest and not putting too much out there in the media. Like I said, there's a lot of things we're going to talk about, a little later in the program about some of the stuff going on. Randall, you ready to join us?
There How we go. Doing? All right.
All right. Yeah, I was sitting there, I was like, see, ready? I didn't want to bring you on if you weren't ready.
I'm good to go. I'm ready. I'm excited.
All right. So we're not gonna keep the people hanging around too much longer. We're gonna get right into the mocks because we have 3 guests still to come on late tonight. We're trying to get people out of here before midnight. We would like to do that on the night before the draft. Well, you're gonna see us for 4 straight days. That's right. Tonight is not. You're not gonna have to wait till next week. We are back tomorrow night for night 1, the night after for night 2, and all day for
day Saturday.
And if you think Randall's just hanging out with us, no. Randall's here. He's part of Draft Central now. And guess what? You're going to see him come in for a little while tomorrow, but he's going to be with us all night, day 2, and all day 3. So we're going to see a lot of these faces going forward. Now, next week, we'll talk about on Saturday, about next week's show when we recap everything. But nevertheless, time to get that first mock going. So without further ado, Greg Rector, talk everybody through your mock draft.
All right. Well, I only have 1 trade. That'll come up later on, but we know that the Tennessee Titans are taking Cam Ward. Travis Hunter goes to the Browns. Abdul Carter goes to the Giants. Will Campbell goes to the Patriots. Mason Graham might be a different story, according to news today, and Ashton Genty or Tetora McMillan could end up going there as well. But I've got Ashton Genty going to the Raiders. Membu goes to the Jets. Then I have Will Johnson, the cornerback, going to Carolina. Another possibility for Tetro McMillan, however. Shamar Stewart, I've got him going to the Saints. They're not going to take a quarterback that early in this draft. They're just not. They have 4 NFL quarterbacks. You can whine and cry about the quality of the quarterback with Rattler or anybody else after Derek Carr. They already have 3 guys all under rookie contracts. They're not taking a quarterback. Tyler Warren goes to the Bears. Mikael Williams I've got going to the 49ers, and there's my trade. The Pittsburgh Steelers have made a deal with the Dallas Cowboys, and they take Shedeur Sanders at the 12th pick. Then I have maybe a shock to many people, but I still have Josh Simmons as the best left tackle in this class. I've got him going to the Dolphins. Colston Loveland, because Tyler Warren is gone, goes to the Colts. Jahdae Barron, he goes to Atlanta. Derek Harmon goes to Arizona. Mike Green goes to the Bengals. I've got Calvin Banks going to Seattle. Then I have your Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking Trey Amos in round 1. And we're going to talk about why this is happening. Then I have the Broncos, who lose out on the 2 tight ends. I have them going with Marion Hampton. There's the Cowboys pick, Emeka Egbuka. Cowboys land. He is the best receiver possible for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't care what Tetro McMillan does. I don't care what Matthew Golden has done. Egbuka is the all-time leading receiver for the Ohio State Buckeyes. That means he's got more yardage than Chris Carter, Terry Glenn, Terry McLaurin, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba, all those great wide receivers. He's got more yardage than all of them. He's the Cowboys. Then I have Tetro McMillan going out to the Chargers. Donovan Izaruka. Oh, Lord. That is a big boy. He's a mean guy, and he goes to the Green Bay Packers. Malachi Starks, I've got going to Minnesota. Then I have Gray Zabel going to Houston. There's the other quarterback that everybody wants to see in the first round is Jackson Dart. I've got him as the Matthew Stafford heir apparent. Then I have Tyler Booker. Then I've got Nick Scarleton going to the Lions. Let's see who else is here. Then I have James Pierce going to Washington again. Kenneth Grant goes to the Buffalo Bills for you, Randall. Tyleik Williams goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. And then my surprise pick for everybody here, the Eagles take Braden Swinson in round 1. And they stick to the SEC as per usual for their edges and all that fun sort of stuff. So there's my 1-round mock draft for this season.
All right. So your final mock is in. We know of your love for Egbuka in Dallas. So we know if that actually happens, we can expect you to pop up off the screen into the stratosphere.
He's just the best player available. I don't understand why everybody in Dallas is all worried about Tetro McMillan or Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden was a part-time receiver for a couple of years with Houston. He had 1 season with the Texas Longhorns. That's all fine and dandy. Tetro McMillan, he's over 6'3". How many guys that are that big actually survive playing in the NFL at the position that they want him to? Not too many of those guys are available. Yes, he's a very good receiver, but does he fit what the Cowboys truly need? No. It's Egbuka.
Okay. So you wanted to talk me through this Trey Amos thing. At 19, it's a little higher than I see him going.
Yep.
Most mocks.
Because the corners are actually, and this is where I was tempted to send you a couple of changes because I'm hearing the run on cornerbacks is going to happen earlier than people think. Trey Amos is definitely somebody who is getting a lot of interest. I know that there's interest in Tampa Bay in him. That's why I put Trey Amos there. But again, we're hearing a lot more talk of the corners moving up and the DTs falling down. Kenneth Grant could also be another player who falls out of this round one. That's just the word that I'm hearing.
Okay. Well, good job, Greg. You know, we're good. All of these will probably come up tomorrow during night one when we're on, and everybody's going to be talking about mocks. And I think Ashbury is going to have her hands on these, so we may see these again tomorrow night. But it's time to move on because we have 3 other mocks to go, and I know Mr. Bill Carroll is on his way as he's trying to get logged in. He's having some login issues, so we're going to keep it rolling. So, Randall, I got you up. Let's unveil your first Team NBS Draft Central mock. And
I won my one title.
And I even found a way to get your face on there. So we're going to go all the way here. Here we go. Randall's up there. All right, here we go. Take it away.
I got my headshots working. All right. So I kept it pretty simple in the first 6. And the one thing that I do have with the top 32 is that all the QBs kind of balked on the smoke. So all that first round of Tyler Shug, Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart was just smoke, so then they can kind of fight off in the second round for everybody that they want. But we'll start from the top at Cam Ward, of course. They went on the podium, told him that they're taking him pretty much. Abdul Carter was on camera today talking about what he would do with New York Giants, so that's a number 3 kind of obvious one too. Travis Hunter, number 2, of course. Will Campbell. Pretty much me and Greg had the similar 1 through 6. Ashton Genty is getting talked about Jacksonville, but the Vegas line is, I think, Ashton Genty plus 160 and then Mason Graham plus 220. So that's not an insane amount of money in between. So that's still a possibility that stays. And then my first trade is San Francisco takes a leap from 11.
Oh. I thought it was me. I'm sitting there like, okay, my internet will catch
up. San Francisco, which I believe, Greg, you had Michael at 11, but they jump for Michael as the edge, and they go to 7. And then we have 8 at Jalen Walker. I think that's a pretty obvious one. I think the Panthers love Jalen Walker. They go with him. Second cornerback off the board is Will Johnson with the New Orleans Saints right there. They need a cornerback very bad. They need DBs all around. Tyler Warren goes to Chicago with Ben Johnson going over there. How much he used Laporta and how he would probably want somebody not like exactly Laporta, but a pass-catching tight end to help out Caleb Williams. And then the Jets move back and still get Armand Membao at 11. And then for Greg, we go with Mika at 12. Now, I know that he traded back, but they stick and pick with Emeka Egbuka at number 12 for 2 reasons, just as Greg referenced. And also, if I didn't pick Emeka Egbuka here, Greg would probably hound me for 365 days until the next draft and be like,
I don't hound like that. I don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you do, Greg. and then one of the first safeties off the board is Malachi Starks. I love Malachi Starks. He's one of my 16 first-round picks. While a lot of mocks have him going in the late first round, I don't see why Miami would not take him when they need a lot. All DB help all over the place. Malachi plays all positions. He mentioned today that teams are asking him to play cornerback, nickel, and safety. And then we go with the Raz Monster in Indy with Shamar Stewart. And, the Raz helps with Indy, and then they get their edge rusher they need. Mike Green at 15. Atlanta overlooks the concerns a little bit, and Mike Green is that talented to go in the top 15. And then my second trade is the Los Angeles Chargers see Tet McMillan falling, so they trade up to go get their guy because they're afraid that maybe Tampa Bay might take him or Denver might take him, so they trade up to get Tet McMillan at 16. Bengals need a lot of defensive tackle help, or all defense help, so they take Derek Harmon with his pass rushing ability in the middle. And then Seattle, with their defensive-minded head coach, needs an opposite side to Witherspoon, so they go Jahdae Barron at pick 18. And then at 19, we go with Jihad Campbell, linebacker out of Tampa Bay. That seems like an obvious pick as well. And then we go Colston Loveland at 20 to the Broncos. They obviously need a tight end as well. That helps them out. We go 21 at Shador Sanders, and he falls, sticks, and picks, sort of thing. Pittsburgh's been talking about liking him if he goes to 21. So that's kind of just like a marriage, just like how Mac Jones fell to New England Patriots. They don't need to move up or move back. They get him. And then at 22, they get Matthew Golden to help out with Marvin Harrison Jr. At 23, they go Maxwell Hairston. Maxwell Hairston fits all the cornerback requirements out of Green Bay, which except weight, but I think it's only about 5 pounds, so they go Maxwell Hairston. My next trade is Kansas City moves up for Josh Simmons and takes their future left tackle. They have a left tackle in place just in case Josh Simmons isn't ready, but he should not be the future. We have Tyler Booker to help the interior offensive lineman with Houston. LA sticks and gets Nick Emenworry to help out the back, and with his high raz, he can kind of go all over the place for the Rams. Kelvin Banks for Baltimore. They help out that interior offensive line, but also can push out the tackle as a swing tackle. We have Nick Scourton for the Lions in that 3-4 defense. That bigger edge helps him on that outside. Donovan Ezereko for Washington is an easy pick for them. They need pass rushing help. He's one of the great with the bends. Same as Greg. Kenneth Grant at 30. And then I have Minnesota going Azariah Thomas. And then Walter Nolan falling in the laps of Philadelphia to make them just richer as they are.
Okay.
Comments? How did I do?
Well, other than not giving the Cowboys the Steelers' first-round pick from next year as well, you did pretty decently. But yeah.
Well, I'll say this much. That's the highest I've seen Harrison mock since Senior Bowl.
Oh, yeah?
Coming out of Senior Bowl, I saw a lot of first round for him,
Yeah.
and then they kind of fell off. That's the first time I've seen him back in the first in a long time.
I've heard more that he is going in the first round, but I mean his speed, his upside. I think Green Bay will look for an upside guy, and that Maxwell Harrison with his 4.29 speed, 4.3 speed will kind of give that for him, and he fits the 40 time, the height, the arm length, and everything for Green Bay.
Welcome, Bill.
Good to see everybody. I would say that if Walter Nolan somehow makes it, I mean that's insanity. First of all, I can't believe that Pittsburgh wouldn't grab Walter Nolan if he's somehow available there for them. I mean, what an absolute absolute steal for a team that doesn't need it in the Eagles. But and we could definitely need somebody at some point to replace Cam Hayward. But I don't know if Pittsburgh is convinced of. I'm sure they like Shador Sanders, but it doesn't really fit their style of quarterback. If you look throughout the history of the Steelers, when they have gone wrong at the position, they've gone away from the Steelers type quarterback, which are big, strong guys with big arms. And Shador is a good football player, but he's basically swaggy Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah. And they tried going with the sort of smaller, nimble, weaker-armed quarterback with Kenny Pickett. Didn't exactly pan out. So I'd be shocked if they went right back to that kind of quarterback again.
Fair. I
think they're holding out for another big, strong guy with a big, strong arm. I think they sort of figured out that's their type. Like I said, God, Nolan making it past all these teams it would just be ridiculous to me.
That would be Howie in the draft room working that Sith Lord magic of his, telling
that's what it would be. That's exactly what it would be.
Pretty much. But Jay Glazer has been making phone calls as he does every year and all this other jazz. He's got a third category for players this year.
Yeah.
And he's heard it from more than one team. Doesn't love football. Guess what? Walter Nolan has that concern. And the doesn't love football guys are being draft boards.
Those are the guys that bother me, and not the players. I'm talking about the guys that come up with the doesn't love football, because we've seen that enough times where they say that about a guy.
Right.
I remember the top tackle in a certain class falling, almost out of the top 10 because they said he didn't love football. He's only been a perennial Pro Bowler every year, named Ronnie Stanley. Right?
Yep.
We look down the whole list of guys they've used that on. And it's
James Pierce has been another one who's gotten this title.
James Pierce, though, personality-wise, we can understand that. I don't know if he doesn't love football. I just don't know if he loves
exactly.
But
exactly.
That's always a label when they get crazy with certain players that they can't identify with. Oh, we don't know if he loves football.
And unless you're going to tell me exactly who the source is, in which I know you won't, I have a tendency to wonder about some of these sources. And I mean, I don't think I'm telling people things they don't know. We're deep into lying season. There's a lot of disinformation being thrown out there. A lot of these teams are saying terrible things about players they love, hoping they'll fall to them. So I don't buy some of the stuff. I've talked to James Pierce, and I've talked to people about James Pierce. And I've talked to Walter Nolan. I've talked to people about Walter Nolan as well, including the person who recruited him to Ole Miss.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with some of those people over some of the anonymous rumor, scout, whatever stuff. Now, does Walter Nolan play equally hard on every single down in every single game? No. But dudes who play interior on the offensive line, with a few exceptions, even Aaron Charles Donald occasionally, I won't say he loafed, but he certainly didn't play 100% out at every single play. I understand some of the concerns about Walter Nolan, but look at who he's played against, how he's produced, and once again, strength of schedule, right? He has played well against top competition, both through his entire career, both before and after, transferring. I'm not sure what some of this is about, I guess. Unless once again,
it's gamesmanship, right? It's gamesmanship. I want a certain player to fall my way. I'm hoping it falls into the right GM's ears, and I'm hoping they listen and go, "Yeah, but I heard." We've seen that game played before, right? How did Dan Marino fall in Miami? We heard. Right? We didn't have concrete evidence that he failed the test. We heard he failed. How did Tampa Bay get Warren Sapp? We heard he failed the test. So the herd crowd is out there trying to hope that they can herd things in a certain direction, the sheep in a certain direction, for that one to come their way. So
and the word on Walter Nolan was from his former Texas A&M coaches. That's where the rumors all got started from, was his former coaches at Texas A&M. So that's where that rumor mill started.
Yeah. Well, once again, the same Texas A&M that gets all these 5 stars that they never managed to actually develop.
They haven't won anything. They haven't won anything in 85 years. So
yeah, and they don't tend to develop the talent they bring in. But I get some of the sour grapes stuff that may come out of that, because he did transfer out. But they also, once again, Texas A&M is one of those places where talent goes to not develop. It's shocking how raw some of the guys. Pittsburgh is still trying to turn, right, a guy that was a big time, when Leal was a big time recruit with Texas A&M, didn't ever become anything real. He became a fun project, right? But he didn't become the killer he was supposed to be. Shamar Stewart basically told me flat out that he didn't say he wasn't well coached. Let me make it clear, he didn't throw his coach on the bus. But he shocked me with some of the things he said he didn't know about pass rushing. I'll put it that way. So I'm going to take, like I said, several grains of salt when I hear some of this stuff. Now, there are some players that I have legitimate concerns about in this draft, just like anybody else would. But the whole he doesn't love football thing, it's hard as hell to play D tackle if you don't love football. It's not the most fun position in the world to play.
I don't know about you. I watched the film. It looked like he loved it at Ole Miss. So I don't. Maybe it was the environment at Texas A&M if they felt that way about it.
We will not discuss the guy from that school up north that the Cowboys took 2 years ago, okay? Because guess what? He likes hitting people. That's it. That's his football extent. So yeah.
Once again, as I said before, I know the person who spearheaded the effort to bring him from Texas A&M to Oxford. Yeah. And he vetted the living daylights out of Mr. Nolan before deciding to make that move. So I'm going to go with that person who I've known literally since he was a teenager over some anonymous whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's not anonymous is the next mock draft we have up, which is Bill Carroll. So, Bill, take it away.
So I kept trying to find the trades. There's going to be 3, maybe even 4 trades, but it's harder to make happen. Right? You can imagine them, but it's hard to sort of figure out where they're actually going to happen. I think that most people have the first few picks, maybe slightly different order, but the first 5 players are probably almost exactly the same for everybody. I could easily see Will Johnson sliding a little later than here. He's sort of a scheme-specific guy, but if you run the right scheme, he's going to go. I think Mimbu is going to go earlier than people think. I think 11 is the latest he goes, but he could go as early as 7. Everyone I talked to about now, I am not as high on Jalen Walker as everyone else I've talked to, but I talked to everybody else, people I really respect, and they all think he's easily going to go in the top 10. So while I don't have him rated that highly, it seems like the world does. I keep hearing that there's smoke to the fire, especially with what's happened with Derek Carr, to the Saints possibly even trading up to make sure that they secure Shooter Sanders. And all the slide stuff, I mean, while it could happen, I think that some of that's overblown. I believe that the word has finally reached Ryan Poles that the way to win is in the trenches. If you've seen what they've done in the off season, the Bears finally religion about fixing the trenches, and this is, I think, the final piece of the puzzle for that offensive line is getting Kelvin Banks. They've gotten real production out of Mr. James Conner, but he is a power back, and he's a guy who takes hits. And he has reached that magical age for big running backs who take hits. For those who study football, there seems to be kind of a trend about turning a certain magical age. Maybe he's got another good year or two left in him, but just in case, you probably want to stock up at a collision position like that. Matthew Golden, once again, I think a lot of people have been now lately mocking Matthew Golden to the Cowboys. Oh, I guess I had a trade somewhere in there, didn't I? But yeah, right, I did. But I should have probably mentioned that more. But I think this is another player that is sort of a perfect fit. The Colts have been patching it together at tight end with, I mean, I dare you to name them. I know them all, but and as much as I love Moe Cox as much as the next guy, I'm a big fan of what Mr. Ogletree has developed into. And Will Mallory, but unless you are an absolute sicko, and of course Kyle Granson, I challenge you to name which guy led them in receptions at the tight end position. So they're going to upgrade that position, and once again, they're going to make a no excuses situation for Anthony Richardson because they need to know if he's the guy or not. I think Mike Green, the Bengals, not saying they don't care about character concerns, but they're not as squeamish as some teams are about character. And once again, Mike Green has satisfied some people about what's going on there. Shamar Stewart may never be a awesome pass rusher, but he's an awesome physical specimen. And if you study the people that they collect in San Francisco along that defensive line, he at least matches what they like. And the fact that he can be moved around means that they can do fun stuff with the rest of the guys in that D-line. I guess this has been the hot thing, is to put Derek Harmon at 17. It seems that everybody's doing that now. Why not, huh? Earlier, I think people were putting Mr. Tetroy Millen in like the top 10 and top 11. I think word has gotten out that the NFL isn't quite as excited about him, and he may not even be the first wide receiver off the board. I could see him really going here for two reasons. One, they don't have much size at this position now. Word may have reached you about what their receiving core now looks like in Seattle. And he gives them the chance to have a true X receiver. He's a great vertical, not vertical in terms of running vertically, but jumping. Like he's a great vertical threat in the sense of mossing people by just jumping up and taking balls off their heads. And they haven't had a player like that in a while, frankly. I mean, well, unless you want to count Metcalf, who was really not the jump ball guy that you thought he would be at that size, but this guy truly is. And yeah, I think this is the other hot thing. I think everybody's talking Jahad Campbell there. They have a really talented borderline Hall of Fame linebacker who's coming to the end of his run in Tampa Bay, and it'd be great to just slide another one in there. And then this is the other trade I had there. So I had Seattle trading back into the first to pick up Jackson Dart, giving up those 2 seconds and something else. Oh, and I think a first in 2026 or a pick swap or something. It was a pick swap. Those 2 seconds and a first in 2026. So now they don't have to depend upon Sam Darnold long term. And then I don't think the Steelers are going to pass on Walter Nolan if he's there. Cam Hayward, once again, we just talked about with Levante David in Tampa Bay. That gray hair that you see when you look at Cam Hayward is not premature anymore. It's now about right on time. He looks a bit grandfatherly for a reason. He is in his mid-30s playing a position where 600-plus pounds of human being slams into you on play after play. It's a good idea to find his heir apparent. Colson Loveland gets reunited, and it feels so good with Jim Harbaugh. A lot of people, once again, earlier had Michael Williams going much earlier. I think word has gotten out that he's going to make it to at least the teens, and I think he might make it to here. And once again, somebody mentioned the Green Bay Packers having a type. This is another guy who is their type, right? So we agree on their type. We disagree on the player. And then, once again, heir apparent. I have a lot of the heir apparent thing going here. Hitman Harry, Harrison Smith, another guy who's had almost a borderline, at least first ballot Hall of Very Good kind of career. And you get a chance to find his heir apparent right here. I think the Texans would not let Josh Simmons slip past them unless somebody trades up ahead of them. They are trying to protect their franchise, and that franchise is one Coleridge Bernard Stroud IV. If you don't keep him healthy, they might as well just close up shop. So he's super important to them. The Rams have a strong locker room, a strong culture, and a lot of veteran leadership. And though they're in Los Angeles, ironically, the press, I think they care about the Rams, but it's not like the viciousness, right, that you get in New York or Philadelphia, like where you get like the feeding frenzy. James Pierce is not going to be a person who loves the press, ever. Right? That's not happening. He's not going to be opening children's hospitals. He's not going to be shaking hands and kissing babies. But luckily, there's a lot of distractions in Los Angeles, and maybe people won't notice whether or not he gives interviews or signs autographs or makes eye contact or whatever. But he gives them – they already have a super dangerous pass rush, but I know Les Snead's drafting personality. He is not afraid to pile up even more talent on top of talent. He thinks, well, if 3 pass rushes is good, 4 is better. And then Nick Imamori, for those once again who pay attention to the Ravens, they also have a type, and they have one giant freak show at safety. What's better than one giant freak show at safety? 2 giant freak shows at safety. And this guy is going to now allow Kyle Hamilton to play more deep while he now ranges more short to mid-range and comes up and thumps people in the box while he figures out the mental side of the game. And then eventually they'll be able to switch off responsibilities once he understands because they were a fairly complex defense, the Ravens. So it'll take a while for him to catch all that stuff. Nick Squirt was a guy that could easily have gone earlier. He's a guy that has all that play till the whistle, past the whistle, maybe slightly stuff, especially if we watch his Purdue tape. I don't know what happens to people when they go to Texas A&M. Once again, we've talked about this. If you want to know who the real Nick Scarton is, watch his Purdue tape. Now, I'm not saying you can't watch his tape because once again, you start to think, sometimes. I don't know what they do, what's in the water at College Station. He's a much better player than people think. And then this is a guy, I love this player. And I wouldn't be shocked, actually, if Detroit takes him. I was arguing back and forth with myself about which one of these guys goes to Detroit at 28. But if for some reason, whichever one doesn't go to Detroit is going to go to Washington. I don't know if you noticed Washington's pass rusher lack thereof last year, but yikes! And then we get to, this is a guy I had not had in the first round for a long time, but once again, everybody I talk to thinks this guy's a first-round corner. So peer pressure got me on this one, and Trey Amos has now made his way into my first round. I do like him. In my personal rankings, he's like 36, 37, but which still means I like you. It means you're better than all but 35 or 36 players in the whole draft. But everyone else seems to think he's a first rounder. And then Emeka Ibuka, everyone's talking about offensive line. I'm not saying they won't take an offensive lineman. And of course, they could take an offensive lineman. But I really think they have missed having that boring, steady type receiver that you can drop in the slot, and all he does is get you a bunch of catches. They have a lot of different kinds of receivers, but they don't have his kind of receiver. They have run after the catch guys. They have contested catch guys. They have speed guys. They don't have the boring guy, right? This gives the guy that just all he does is catch 5 catches a game for 86 yards, and 4 of them are for first down. That they finally have that guy for the first time in a long time. And then, great players find their way to, for whatever reason, find their way to the Eagles all the time. And so it happens again this year. It could be Scorton finds his way to them. Could be Ibuka finds his way to them. They're going to get a football player. And in this particular mock draft, they get Tyler Booker because they love to run the football, for those who hadn't heard. And they love offensive linemen. If you also hadn't heard about that, Philadelphia loves offensive linemen. They will, I promise, address the defense. And there's more rounds of the draft. We did a 7-round mock. I promise you would see them get about 3 D linemen before the draft is over.
All right. So, any guys got any comments about that real quick? Because I'm going to jump into mine, and we got a guest coming up soon. So,
You go ahead, Jeff.
no, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. That's Bill's mock.
All right, very good. So I'm going to throw mine
There we go.
real quick, and
Yeah.
I'm going to pound through this. And now, my previous mocks were consistent. They both had Abdul Carter first. And to be honest with you, I was about to keep him there because whoever the new, I forget the. See, this is why I put all my personnel on a sheet so I don't forget names. Mike Berganzi.
Oh, yes.
I'm telling you what, the last few years, right, we've seen GMs come out and they're bad poker players. They come out and they say something. Meanwhile, they're actively, they're trading a guy, right? So trade values for certain guys have been in the tank because they've already made the guy expendable before they can even get value for him, right?
Right.
So he's not doing that with Will Levis. He has not really said much about Will Levis at all. Okay, he hasn't said they're not committed to him. He hasn't said they're moving on from him. He hasn't said anything. He hasn't said what they're taking. He said, we were looking at everybody. That's it. So I'm not playing poker with this man because he's a guy you're not going to be able to read his hand. He's doing a great job because he got me to change my first pick. All right, so Cam Ward is one. Abdul Carter to Cleveland. They're going defense, I think, no matter what. So it's either going to be Carter or Hunter. In this case, they match up the pass rusher. They give their top pass rusher, Myles Garrett, some help on the opposite side. So I think that's what you want to leave town. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to have Batman has a Robin. Travis Hunter to the Giants. They get a dual threat player there, the guy that can play some offense and definitely help that secondary. Will Campbell goes there to help Drake May. Mason Graham goes to Jacksonville to fortify that defensive front that was abysmal last year. Okay, Shador Sanders. I don't think he falls past 6 or 8. If be honest with you. Oh, not 6 or 8, 6 or 9. Sorry. I don't. I'm not buying the falling out of the top 10. I think there's enough teams in the top 10 that'll take him. And if I'm Pete Carroll, I'm not going to think that lightning's going to strike me twice, and I'm going to find another Russell Wilson in the second and third round like I did the last time. If one of those top 2 falls to him, I think he's taking one of them. Tyler Warren to the Jets. They've tried to sign impact tight ends. It hasn't worked. They draft one here. They missed out on one last year that went to the Raiders. I don't see that happening twice. Jalen Walker. There seems to be a consensus to Jacksonville. We've seen them move on from Shaq Thompson. For Carolina. We've seen them move on from Shaq Thompson. I think that's what they picked there. I'm mixing up my former expansion teams all of a sudden by name. Banks comes in to help the line in New Orleans, which is steadily improving. Membu to Chicago. They'd be dancing a jig to help out Caleb Williams with Membu. All right, McMillan to the Niners. And I think the Niners have got to get a wide receiver in there because they're getting rid of their top 2. They've already gotten rid of Debo, and they've already said that once he's healthy, number 2 is gone as well if they can get the right deal for him. So they're already looking to move on from the top 2. Pearsall's going to need help. So McMillan brings in that big body to come in there and help out.
And now you're going to give me the heart attack because you know Jerry will be off the seat. He will be so live.
So there'll be a lot of Cowboys fans signing the card for him, Greg, if Ashton Johnson falls to him at 12. Okay? So it won't just be Jerry. That'll be the biggest cheer in Cowboy Nation you've heard in a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
Falls to them at 12. Will Johnson at 13. Michael Williams to the Colts at 14. Shamar Stewart falls to the Falcons at 15. Abuka, which would drive Greg nuts to Arizona. Okay, who's been shedding wide receivers?
Because you gave us the Frisco, Texas native Ashton Genty, which does top Abuka.
Okay, all right. You seem like you're dead set on Abuka. You didn't think Johnson was going to be there, so
It's funny. He's a Texas native. He's a Jacksonville, Florida native. Every state seems to. Well, of course, he is a military brat. But everyone seems to say that Ashton Genty's from wherever they're from.
Yes, but he went to high school in Frisco, Texas, so he was a Dallas Day visit for the Cowboys.
I got you.
So there he is. And he goes to Boise State, another school that the Cowboys absolutely love.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
All right, so moving on, Mike Green gets them another edge rusher in Cincinnati. Walter Nolan adds some real fierce force up the middle in Seattle. This would make Todd Bowles very happy if Barron falls to him at 19.
Yeah.
Right. Colston Loveland, I am in agreement with you, Randall. He is a fit for Denver. And yes, Pittsburgh gets a quarterback at 21, much to the chagrin of Bill Carroll. Jackson Dart. I don't think they wait till day 2 if one of those 3 guys is there. Kenneth Grant, all right, goes to his old coach out in Los Angeles. Okay, Josh Simmons goes to Green Bay to help them keep Love upright. Tired of seeing him missing games with injury. Eamon Wari to the Vikings who want to get younger at safety. Booker is going to go in and help that rebuilt line in Houston. Connerly. I have Connerly coming up in the first because guess what? The Rams need line help, especially a tackle. You talk about the tackles left on the board. He could be the guy. All right, Jahad Campbell to the Ravens. They love their linebackers. All right, Siobhan Ravel, the guy who can play the slot top tier. Guess what? He could be joining a Bama corner in Detroit. Harmon to Washington, reloading their interior D line. Burden to the Bills, who could use another big play receiver. Zabel. How about Gray Zabel? Okay, going to Kansas City, a team where he can play left, or play left, or he could play. There you go. I couldn't see the last name. Sorry. He can play left tackle. He can play right tackle. He can play guard. He can play anywhere on that line. They need help in multiple positions. So that's going to be big for Kansas City. And last but not least, I have Pierce falling to the Eagles, which is a big help for them as well because they just lost a couple of aging defensive linemen. All right. So they can use help interior and on the edge. So anybody got anything for mine?
I mean, there's some interesting things going there. I guess the biggest thing, unless I'm missing something, I don't see Malachi Stark's name, it looks like.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure. To me, I have a feeling only one safety's going in round one.
Interesting.
I didn't even have a single safety go in mine.
To me, I think only one's going in round one. I don't think they have too many first-round grades on safeties. And I think a lot of them, I have all my safeties clumped up with second-round grades. So,
yep.
I think only one of them gets pulled up. So, because you don't have – I have 11 first-round grades. They may have considerably more, considerably less, but nobody has 30. So there's at least 12 or 13 minimum second-round grades going in this first round. So how many of them are safeties? How many of them are receivers? How many of them are running backs? How many of them are tackles? So that's going to be the big question. Which position gets pulled up over safety?
Yeah, I understand. I'm just, if somehow Malachi Starks is on the board at 30, I'd be shocked if the Bills passed him up. Because there's considerably more depth at wide receiver than there is at safety in this draft.
Yeah, but when you look at it, the question is, what are you looking for in wide receiver? If you're looking for a slot, I think there's a ton of slot and Z's. Yeah. I don't think there's too many X's.
No.
And I think that's where you look at it and say, is he an X? Can he be an X? Then you get him now because what you may get later ain't going to match the value. So that's going to be a concern for some teams. That's why I think people are saying they don't feel highly about me. How many guys with McMillan's skill set are in this draft? Not that many. So that's why I think McMillan goes a lot early, and a lot of people are mocking him later and later and later. I think it goes higher because there's not too big. You can't pass on a McMillan early and find something of comparable value. So when you have that kind of draft, same thing with edge rushers. We talked about Mike Green and all the past and all that stuff. We still keep seeing around one. Why? Because there's not too many guys of Mike Green's quality later on in this draft. So you don't pass on it in the first when it's hanging there in front of you, thinking that you're going to replace that later.
Yeah. And Mr. Kirby Joseph signed the biggest safety contract in the league, $21.5 million a season. Hello.
So that's two out of 4 drafts had Ashton Jeanty out of the top 10. That's surprising to me.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know where he's going to go. I've heard a lot of people say I had him in the top 10 at one point, and I pulled him back down.
Yep.
I didn't think, Atlanta was going to pull the trigger early on running back when they did it. Yeah. I thought a lot of people were going to pull the trigger on running back in a couple other drafts, and they didn't do it until late. So there are certain drafts. It depends on the feel of their draft room. I'll be honest with you. That is the one, sometimes the caveat to all of this is how we feel. We may love a player way more than those teams do.
And Jeff knows from being on the last word all season long how I said Ashton Jeanty needs to be a Dallas Cowboy. I didn't care what position the Cowboys were picking from. Ashton Jeanty needed to be a Cowboy. Now, the reason I've been so adamant about Egbuka being the Cowboy player, though, is because he is the best fit for that team. There is nobody. Matthew Golden is not the same type of receiver that Egbuka is. Egbuka also assists you in the run blocking. What did Schottenheimer say he wanted to be better at? The running game, which they were 27th in the league. That's why I'm so adamant that Egbuka should be the Cowboys pick if Ashton Genty is not available.
Well, it's funny you say the running game because we're about to talk the running game with a running back. We're bringing Rodrigues Clark on the show. Rodrigues, welcome.
Yo, how y'all doing?
Hey, Rodrigues.
Hey,
Not as good as you because you got a lot more gas in the tank than we do. So therefore, we're not even anywhere near feeling how good as you're feeling right now.
Yes,
So
sir.
tell us about the process. How you feeling in this whole thing that's been going on? You're at the cusp of the climax of this whole thing. You're about to find out where the pieces fall.
Man, it's very exciting. Just being in the NFL draft. It's every kid dream or whatever, but it's very exciting. But it's just crazy because you never know what's gonna happen next.
All right. So, we lost. Oh, there we go. All right. So there we go. I'm going to say I got more questions for you, but I always let the guys lead it off. So I kind of broke the ice. So I'm going to leave you to the rest of the room, and then I'm going to come back and close it out.
All right.
well, I'm going to start with your journey taking you from high school originally to Memphis. What was that process like? What led you to Memphis? Obviously, a place that has become sort of lightweight RBU in the last 15, 20 years. You know, D'Angelo Williams and Kenny Gainwell and Daryl Henderson. And I mean, they've been putting NFL running backs and Gibson, too, into running backs into the NFL. Was that part of your thought process, or what was it that led you to Memphis?
Yeah, that's kind of the reason. All the other great running backs that was at Memphis before me. Uh, I really had a good bond with Coach Norvell and also Coach John and Coach Hall when he was coaching there. So yeah, that would kind of led me to Memphis, and knowing that I was a number one guy, that was one of the biggest reasons.
And what would you say was the thing that you most enjoyed about playing in that program, and what are some things that you learned from being there?
Just learning the system, under a great head coach like Coach Norvell, Coach Silverfield also. It just was a great experience, and really the brotherhood was my favorite part. Locking in with some guys that you gonna be locked in with for a long time or whatever. But the biggest thing was just like really learning how to operate in the system. That with getting up in the morning, really just handling your business. You know, I can go on and on about it, but like those are probably my two biggest things right there.
Okay, and my last two questions before we open it up, and then you had to obviously reopen, try to find a new home. There was changes in the coaching staff, things like that. Now, was that what led you to now look to leave once Coach Norvell left and his staff left?
Coach Norvell left in 2019, right after we beat Cincinnati in the championship. Coach Silverfield, he's a great coach or whatever. He gave me an opportunity to be that starting back. I had the role for like 2020 season, the new season of 2021. I tried to redeem myself in that situation, but somehow I fell short to the second or the third string running back. But I still was making plays. It was really just time for me to leave, man. Find a new home because I was trying to get back in that role that I had, and it wasn't just going. So it was time for me to go.
Okay. Uh, Looks like you were weighed and measured at 5'9" and a quarter and 200 pounds. Is that at your pro day? Is that about right?
Now I'm like 5'10", 208 pounds.
Oh, okay. Was that your official height and weight at the pro day?
Yeah, like 5'10" and 3/4, I want to say.
And did you get your other pro day numbers?
Uh, I don't.
Is 4.58 about what you were timed at in the 40?
I
Or
think my agent said it was like a 4.54.
okay. Now is that his own time? Like, was he timing as well, or is that a time he got from a from an NFL scout.
Yeah, that's just what I heard from my agent. Like, it was a 4.54 with my 40. Um, I want to say I had like a 35.5 inch vertical. I bench pressed maybe like 20 times for sure.
Okay.
And it was kind of early in the morning, so I don't really want to discuss my other drills or whatever. But the field was kind of like one in the best positions for me to really talk about the two drills I worked out on.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Well, you'll never have to do any of that stuff ever again, right? Now it's
Right.
just football for the
Yeah,
rest of your life until football is something
most
that you
definitely.
graduate from.
Yes, sir.
So Rodrigues, I understand that you're a fan of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I like the Cowboys. They cool.
Well, that does my heart good because Bill's a Steelers fan and Randall's a Buffalo Bills fan, but I cheer for the Cowboys, so that makes me feel good. You, you actually run block very well.
I can actually do it all. I just gotta be put in that position. In that situation, I can do it all.
And do you enjoy blocking downfield for them?
Most definitely, I enjoy winning and playing football.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, a lot of people discount Southern Mississippi because the record this year was awful and all that jazz, but we don't do that here. We judge you based upon your performance on the field.
Yeah.
Um, so basically, I see you as a very good committee type of a back, right? Um, which teams have been in contact with you?
I talked to the Miami Dolphins. The Kansas City Chiefs just hit me up maybe like 2, 3 days ago. The Cowboys sent me something to my email. The Seahawks, the Colts, and I can't think of the last team right now. But yeah, I've been talking to teams for sure.
Excellent, excellent to hear. Go ahead, Randall.
Yeah. So with the pro day, did you do any other drills outside of running back drills? Any wide receiver drills, special teams, and things along those lines?
They had us start off. I was the only running back. They worked out that day, so they started me off outside, like just doing like seam routes, running down the field, just catching the ball like slants and stuff like that. And then that was like the little warm up, and then I did my running back drills or whatever. And then yeah, that was about it right there.
Very nice. No quarterback drills, because if I'm not mistaken, you have a perfect passer rating, right?
My dog. Yeah, I could do
What?
it all for sure.
There you go. 1 for 1, 40 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. uh, you had during high school. Talk about a little bit high school, how that molded you into college. I know that there was some injury scares and stuff that you overcame as a family as well. So if you want to kind of talk about that and how that made you into a tougher college player and person.
Well, yeah, like early on in my career with football, I had a lot of success, but I also faced adversity like very early. I had broke my leg and ankle in the ninth grade, but before I did that, I was like scoring the ball like every time I touched it. So it kind of just slowed me down and set me back or whatever. But coming into my sophomore year, man, I was just so eager to get back on the field or whatever. And I don't know if I probably just rushed the process of healing all the way. But I came back out there, played like 5 games. My stats was okay. They were nice for real to be a sophomore. But I tore my meniscus and that kind of set me back right there for sure. So then coming into my junior year, uh I actually played ball with Willie Gay, so he kind of gave me a little advice on like what I really need to do to take that role on to be the leader of the team and really just what it takes to win or whatever. So I came back my junior year, I gave it all to God and put the work in, and that's when it kind of took off for me. And then like my senior year, we was putting like crazy points on people on teams or whatever. and we fell short to the Kobe Dean Horn Lake in the round 2 playoffs,
Mm.
2018, and that was that.
That's awesome. That's great. I know that it must have been a lot of adversity, and you getting through it was. I read a couple articles, and it was very, very good articles. And it was great to read, and I'm glad that you're getting this shot right now. So that's great.
Okay.
Jeff, on to you.
All right. So, what is your favorite run? I know most running backs have a certain play that they feel they get the ball on that play, they're going to the house anytime. What is your favorite run?
Uh, I love inside zone, but I probably had to say like power runs when you got the guard and the tackle pulling sometime the center, depending on the scheme of the defense.
Okay. Gotcha. So, you know, and I'm going to age myself along with Bill here because uh, we used to always call those the counter trays because you had both the guard and tackle coming around, which was one of the hardest reads for a running back because if you ever ran that, it's different from how you're reading it now.
Yeah.
But because that's more of a true power. It's just two pullers, that old student body, but it's the whole right side instead of two guards. But what we used to have was that counter tray, and you had to read the tackle, but the tackle couldn't commit till the guard committed. So it was a very slow read, and if you weren't really good at it, you got caught from behind. But power runs, is that because you like to get downhill real fast, or is it you like to pace your runs?
It kind of like in my college career, kind of taught me just how to be a little bit more patient, knowing like they may draw it up this way, but it might play out a different way or whatever. And it really just gives everybody a good look at me on how patient I can be and who I can make miss. I ain't going down by the first tacklers or whatever. So like I just like power runs just because it kind of taught me how to be more patient in college football and just put that in my bag on the field.
All right. So give me an example of a game where you had your early struggles. You getting the ball, you've had a couple of negative runs, you've had a bunch of runs where you got a lot of dirty yards, 1-2 yards because you had to fight for it. And then finally you were able to pop it. And after that, it was all easy. Give me a game that turned out for you that way.
With the power run,
Well, any run. And just a game in general where you were struggling early, couldn't get the running game going. It was all tough running. There was nothing easy. Then all of a sudden, you hit a big one and it changed the whole game.
probably South Alabama last year.
Okay, and how was that one special? What happened that you were able to turn it all around?
I just was we already knew that we had like a losing season or whatever. But the biggest thing was for me was I'm just like, man, you know what? I got like 2 more games left. This is my senior night. I gotta go out here and put it on the floor for everybody to see. Like I ain't really just no pushover, and I'm really special. So like I faced a little adversity in the beginning of the game or whatever, but the biggest thing for me was just to keep going, you know, and give it all I got, especially that night right there.
All right. So, one of the things that's the biggest challenge from going to college to the NFL is blitz pickup. All right. You guys have to have an amazing level of eye discipline to understand it, different looks, the way they can have 6 or 7 different blitzes off of one look. One of the most common ones is double A gap pressure. I asked this about a lot of people because you can see it a lot at the next level. So I'm going to pull up this screenshot here. We're going to talk about some protections. So, all right. So here's your double A gap look. All right. When they call Bob protection, which is basically big on big, man on man, quarterback's going to tell the center go one way. He's going to tell you to go the other. So if they're calling Bob and he's telling you to go inside, where are your eyes going?
To that middle linebacker, probably on the right side. It really just depending on who my offensive lineman tag, the center, whoever the center tag.
So if he gives the center a Ringo call.
You said a Ringo?
Yeah, so it's telling the center go right, which is
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Telling you to go where?
To the left. right in the A gap.
Perfect. All right, so let's switch up the protection. Same look, but you get a coordinator who's a little bit crazier and like me, because I love to do when I go up against this. I like to swing my line. So we have a swing protection call. So we call a king, which is going to put it to the strong side, and you're going to weak. All right.
Yeah.
So in this case, most teams at the NFL level, that means you got that big boy who's uncovered all the way to the right on your side. Right. That defensive end there. All right.
Uh-huh.
So how are you going to block him knowing that this guy outweighs you? He's got the power advantage, so you can't, just sit down. How do you work against a bigger body?
Really just trying to meet them at the offensive line just because they got an advantage with their size and weight or whatever. But I try to meet them at the offensive line and be very physical and really be in the best position that I can be, like dealing with leverage.
Gotcha. All right. Let's flip it to the opposite. So queen. All right. So now they're coming to the left. You're swinging all to the left. You've got that end on the opposite side of the back now. You've got to cut across the quarterback's face and meet him. What's going to be your aiming point? All right. And how are you taking him on?
Well, like I say, I'm gonna meet him at the offensive line, or at least try to. But I'm gonna take the inside away from him and try to make him go wide, if anything.
Perfect. All right. You guys got any last questions for him?
Just a couple. So, your favorite run plays were mentioned. Tell me about your favorite film study plays. A play that you made because of something you saw, a tendency, something about a particular player, or something about a particular defensive call you were able to spot on tape. It could have been in your time at Memphis, could have been your time at Southern Miss, but it's some big play you made because of your being a student of the game.
Mm, Let me think on that real quick. Uh, I can't really just think right now. I got some good plays or whatever. Probably when I was at Memphis, when we played versus East Carolina.
Okay. What was the play?
I think it was like inside zone. So I'm running on my tracks or whatever. One of the defenders beat my blockers or whatever. It kind of just made my vision. I kind of already knew like majority of the guys was on the right side of the field or whatever. But it just some told me to make one of those cuts that I do in training. I seen the backside, made a cut on him, and then it was all up to the speed. And like it was a big play of the game. We was overtime. Yeah, it was overtime. That's probably one of my biggest plays where I just made something happen out of nothing.
You made mention of facing N'Kobe Dean in high school, who is an absolute tackling machine. Other than him, or including him, who are some of the other guys you faced? Any other place you've played, high school, college, who also were really tough guys to get past, guys that really tested your ability to try to make a miss?
Uh, I can't really just name it. I can't really name. I know Nicole Dean for sure, like out of high school for sure. But
Okay.
like in college, I wasn't really just too big on just looking at like I ain't gonna say it like that, but I wasn't really just big on like knowing other players or whatever for real, unless he just like stood out. But I like watch majority of the offense if I ain't watching film on defense.
Okay. Well, my last question. You are another one of those uh, backs that has that powerful, compact build. It's almost the classic running back build. Who are some of the guys that you think maybe present that same sort of running back? Like guys that you think are similar to you and maybe learn from, or guys that you may want to gain something when you watch them play, and you want to maybe put some of those things that they have in their game in your game. Who are some of the guys that you like to watch?
Uh, well, first off, my favorite running back, Adrian Peterson. I like how he run real hard and real physical. And like ever since I started playing the position running back, that been my biggest thing. Like run hard every time you get the ball, and then like you never know when your last time gonna be able to run the ball. So like
Mm,
give it everything you got every time you touch it. And like I like the Marshawn Lynch,
mm.
Alvin Kamara. I like how physical and big Derrick Henry is. Another good running back I like is Joe Mixon.
Mm.
Yeah, Joe Mixon. And Jameer Gibbs. I like how he's so fast and like how he got so much speed. And probably Christian McCaffrey.
Okay. Are you working on the receiving part of the game in
Uh,
anticipation of what's coming next?
yeah, most definitely. Like I've been able to catch the ball. I never just would put it in a position just to go catch the ball. Actually, for real. You know,
So where you're working out, is there a quarterback that's throwing to you?
uh, well, it's everybody's so spread it out right now. Like these last past weeks, I've been just getting like one of my cousins or one of my friends.
Oh, okay.
To throw the ball to me or whatever. But I got the hands for sure.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Perfect.
Greg,
I'm going to ask you a real tough question, Rodriguez. What is your favorite meal?
My favorite meal, uh, probably some pork chop steaks, macaroni cheese, candy yams, and cornbread.
That's the first man who ever answered pork this year.
I've got a question to piggyback off that. So there was an interview where he said that if you were to have a franchise in your house, it'd be the Cookout. And I've never heard of that. What kind of franchise is that, and why is it your choice?
Because cookout gets so much business, it don't matter like what time of the day it is,
Yeah.
what day of the week. Like cookout gonna have business.
What's your go-to order?
Probably give me the big burger tray with bacon, lettuce, meat and cheese, double Cajun fries with a pink lemonade.
There you go. That's an order.
never go wrong with pink lemonade.
Yeah.
Makes everything taste that much better.
Yeah.
Well, I have the real lemonade here, but pink lemonade does work as well.
Yeah, the real lemonade good too though.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, Rodriguez. We hope you're enjoying the process. Like we said, we tell everybody, if you get your name called, we are here for you to come on and celebrate it with us. We're here all 3 days. If not, next week we are recapping. You're more than welcome to let us know where you landed afterwards and share your joy that way as well. Any special plans for the next 3 days?
Man, just being patient, let God do what he do. And once I get that call, celebrate because we on.
All right. Well, with that being said, well, go get ready for the next 3 days. We'll be looking out for you and see where you land.
For sure. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for coming
much
in.
for
Thank
making
you.
time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That was Rodriguez Clark, running back from Southern Miss. So, guys, we're going to keep this rolling. We have one more prospect ready to go, another one ready to go right behind him. And we're going to take a break in between before the last prospect. That'll be our only break of the night because we're going to be here all weekend long. So we're going to move right on to wide receiver Desmond Hutson, Northern Iowa. So there we go. Desmond, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up? What's up? How's everybody doing?
Not bad in yourself.
I'm doing well, man. No complaints. Blessed.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk some football with us, letting the draft community get to know who you are. So
no problem. Appreciate y'all having me.
Thanks for being patient in the green room and our virtual green room, since there is no actual one. We can't give you any water and refreshments in, but nevertheless, all right. I'm going to let these guys start it off, and I'll come back to you.
Well, you obviously have traveled a lot within the state of Iowa. You had a chance to play, obviously, with the Hawkeyes, and then you find your way to Northern Iowa. You've played against a lot of good football players. Tell me about what was the thing that you noticed was similar, or, stayed the same, and what things were different playing with the Hawkeyes versus playing with the Panthers?
Yeah, so the things that similar playing with the Panthers and the Hawkeyes was just the amount of discipline you had to continue to have to be a student athlete. It actually kind of increased when I went to Northern Iowa just because the resources was not as available as it was in Iowa, but you still nonetheless still had to have that same discipline, still have to have that same drive to improve on your own. And I think the things that were different, like I said, was just the amount of resources. In Iowa, you had a football facility specifically for football players, nutrition, abundance amount of coaches and staff members there to help you. And it just wasn't, Northern Iowa wasn't as fortunate. So I had to kind of figure out a few things on my own when I went there. And ultimately, I felt like it made me a better person, though.
Okay. And you played both in games and in practices against some really, really, really good defensive backs. Who were, you'd say, were the top, say, 3 to 5 guys from any place that you played in terms of guys that you really had to work to get away from in terms of covering it?
Yeah, I think the first guy to really introduce me to college or let me know, like, I got to get a little bit better. I got to sharpen my skills was a guy named Julius Brents. He plays for the Indiana Colts.
Kansas State. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just so long. He was probably the biggest and longest corner I've ever came across when I had first got to college. Probably still to this day, the longest corner I ever came across. He was really hands-on, but I really enjoyed battles with him. We had some really good battles. So he would be in the top 3. Another person that I will add in there is Hankins.
Yeah.
He was really good. And then my third one would be Dane Belton. He was a safety. He plays for the New York Giants. He had great ball skills and super flexible hips. He could open his hips like this. But those 3 guys I enjoyed battling with, man. Every day in and day out, those are the main guys that I picked out for one-on-ones, or if we did drills, I always want to go against them because I know it would be a good challenge. Those would probably be my top 3.
Got it. You got a chance to show off your skills to scouts at your pro day. You came in, I think, a little heavier than you actually played, or maybe you played heavier than I knew you played. I think you came in at 6'2"1/8" and 219 pounds. Is that right?
Yes, 219, 6'2" 1/8", which I thought I'd be taller. That was my first time ever measuring at 6'2", ever in my life. So
we hear a lot of that. I thought I was taller. Apparently, you knocked out 17 repetitions of the bench, 34.5-inch vertical, 9.5 broad, a 4.84 40, and a 7.03 3-cone. Were those roughly the numbers you were expecting, or what were your expectations of how you perform at your pro day?
I think my L drill, my shuttle, and my bench were numbers I was expecting. My 40, it was tough. I expected a faster 40. I was recovering I had about 3 weeks to train. I was recovering from 5th metatarsal surgery, where now I'm fully recovered. I got surgery from Brian Vopat, the chief surgeon, foot surgeon. So he did work on me. It was kind of accelerated process to kind of give me some time to come back from my pro day. So I really only had 3 weeks to train, and I do think that hindered me a little bit in my 40. I wish I expected faster numbers, but all the rest of my numbers I hit targets. My vertical I wanted to be a little bit higher. I expected it to be a little bit higher, but I was happy nonetheless that I put my best foot forward, and with my circumstances, I handled the things I needed to handle. So,
well, toughness is a big part of your game also. What is it that built that toughness into you? You're not a diva receiver, as they say.
Yeah, I think it's in my upbringing, man. I've always been, first and foremost, just grateful to have any opportunity just put in front of me, because I know a lot of guys who would just wish to be in the same shoes or had the same opportunity that I have. So I never took it for granted. I've always felt blessed to have a scholarship, to continue to play ball for as long as I did, to see as many places as I've seen through football. So I've always just kept my head down and worked harder. If I expected myself, I wanted more for myself. So I think that's where the non-diva aspect came from, that gratefulness and knowing that I have my success in my own hands, the control of my success in my own hands. And then the toughness really comes from my upbringing as well, man. I got two parents, been married for 25 years. They had us, me and my two brothers, fairly young, and seeing how they maneuvered through life and to provide as much as they provided for us. I think that's where my toughness comes from. I got two great, tough parents. And yeah, man, like I said, gratefulness and the toughness for my parents is where those two things came from.
Excellent, excellent. So everyone asks receivers about their favorite catch. I'm going to ask you about your favorite block. You're one of my favorite blocking receivers in this draft class. Tell me about your favorite block. Like if you're putting together your top blocks of all time, which ones would you pick and why?
I think my favorite block, when you said that, the first one that came to my mind was Missouri State this past season at home. The running back was Amari Pesic, and he was doing some outside zone, bouncing to the left, and I was in a slot on the left side. And I did my push crack techniques, and I pushed to the low safety, and I picked him up. But then the outside linebacker, the nickel, was crashing down as well. And while I was grabbing him, I grabbed the other dude at the same time and was blocking both of them to the ground and allowed Amari to block off my back. So I felt like I was the coolest dude in the world when I did that. Like, hey, did you see that? I had two guys. So I felt like I was tough, and pretty strong after that one. So that would probably be my favorite one right there.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
That's almost to be an honorary offensive lineman at that point.
Hey, I love the trench work, man. When I first came to UNI, that was what I told them. Like, I wanted to play off-ball tight end. I wanted to be able to really utilize my size. I'm willing to block just as much as I'm willing to catch a pass. Like, I enjoy going out there and getting into that trench work. So, yeah, I liked it.
Okay. Is that, you mentioned off-ball tight, is that something you consider, like putting on another 12 to 15 pounds? If a team said, we see you as a move tight end, would you be open to the idea of getting bigger and doing that?
And that's what I wanted to kind of see how it felt this year. Like you said, I played heavier than I've ever been before. I think the most I got up to the season was 225. And I wanted to see how it felt, how it moved with that weight. And I'm completely open to gain 12 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, as much as I need from the request of a team in order to play that off-ball tight end, be a tweener in the league. So,
thank you. Well, that's it for me at this moment.
Sure.
So Desmond, you said something very early that tonight, a student athlete. That is something that I've been screaming about for many years. You guys are students first, you're athletes second.
Yeah.
Did your parents put the student in front of the athlete for you?
For sure. They definitely put that student in front of the athlete. I think it kicked into me reality when I was in high school and I had first started getting recruited. I didn't know the process, and neither did my parents. Like, I'm the only one in my family that ever went and played at a Division I level in college. So I had to kind of navigate that a little bit on my own. So when I was getting recruited, I started doing a deeper dive, and like, you had to have a lot of requirements in order to even get accepted into the college. And I thought, like, okay, if you get a scholarship, you just go to the school. But no, it was requirements, and it was the same for when I got to college. Like, you have to continue to be on progress to graduate. And my parents was on me heavy, like, you must get a degree. Better be on your homework. I want to hear how you doing. I want to see your grade. Cause like, I thought I was still in high school. They wanted to see my grade reports at the end of the semester. So having that pressure on me from my parents, and then the pressure to continue to excel on the football field, knowing that I needed the classroom in order to play the game that I love, I think that kind of grew my love for school as I continued to go. And I actually started getting more. As I start really getting more involved in my major, I really fell in love with it. So it wasn't that hard to continue to do school and football at the same time.
So what are you majoring in?
I got my degree in sociology with a minor in social justice. I decided to go into sociology because me and my family, we started a nonprofit organization in the name of my late brother. He passed away right before I got to college to some senseless gun violence, man, a road rage incident. And got shot one time in a car and ultimately took my brother's life. And that sparked a huge pain in the way I viewed the world. And it did the same for my family. And that's why we started this nonprofit organization. In this nonprofit organization, we push for gun advocacy, gun violence prevention. We do conflict resolution, teaching our curriculum to the youth of our community. We also do quite a bit of homeless outreach and just a community organized events. And I felt like my degree in sociology would give me a better understanding of how I can help my nonprofit organization. And it really has. So,
That's beautiful.
So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that degree for sure.
Absolutely beautiful. Who was the toughest corner that you had to face this year?
This year, I don't really think it was. I don't think it was too many good corners. I think that's just me being honest. But if I had to think about some tough guys, a tough unit as a whole, South Dakota State was a tough unit. They were very disciplined. The guys were where they were supposed to be at the right time. They were a well coached team. So I think that unit, South Dakota State's unit, was probably the best unit that I've seen this past year.
Did you face Tommy Hill when you were playing Nebraska?
I was in the slot a lot, so I don't think I did. But I don't even Nebraska. I don't think those guys was as physical or strong. They kind of was like a little bit light.
That South Dakota State is a very disciplined team.
Yeah.
That's tougher. That's tough for any receiver to deal with. Is facing a defense that understands their spot on that field.
Mm-hmm.
That's not easy because you guys know where you're going, but these guys don't care where you are. They're going to hit you. They are going to hit you.
Yeah. So.
Go ahead, Randall.
All right. Yeah. So you and I had a lot of receivers that were pretty big. I feel like the wide receiver room was pretty large, a lot of 6'2" and above. How was that to be in that room and the competition and how that kind of unfolded throughout the season?
Yeah, so just speaking on my time completely at UNI, man, we had some tough receivers come through there. I think my favorite receiver was a smaller guy, actually, named Sam Schnee. And he kind of set the tone for when I first got to UNI, like, this isn't a scrubby room. Like, this is a room where you're going to have to compete. He actually had the opportunity to play. He signed to the Titans for a little bit, and he was on the Titans before he was released. Now he's signed to a CFL team with the plans of playing with them next season. But he kind of set the tone for the room, that this is a room of skill. And this past season, it was the same thing, man. A lot of us had the urge. We had a new coaching staff, and everybody wanted to be on the field. So every day, day in, day out, like, everything was being evaluated, and we knew we had to bring our best foot forward. And me being the elder in the room, that's the tone that I set for the room too. Like, man, let's come compete. This is my last year, so I want the best for not only for me but for this room. Like, from when I leave, like, I want to be able to come back and be a proud alumni. So, but yeah, the room was highly competitive. It still is to this day as I check up on the guys, and I enjoyed that competition. That's where I feel like I thrive in, pressure and competition. So.
I love that for sure. And you do have some really good route running in your game for sure, even in 2023 and 2024 as well. What route do you like to run the most that a lot of people don't talk about in your game that you like to talk about and kind of get out there?
I love. I say my favorite route to run that people may not talk about as much is I love a dig, man. A dig is so, like, it's like my screwdriver. Like, you can do so much with the dig, the way you stem it, the way you break it, the way you come out of it. It's so, like, versatile, man. I really love that, and I love it because I'm a big receiver. So when I'm at the top of it, the throw by, I can be so physical at the top of a dig route in order to get me open. It only takes this much space on the dig route to really get open. If you run it right, if you run downhill, and you run come out negative. So probably my favorite route that I feel like people don't talk about as much. I really didn't have the opportunity to run it this much this year, but in my first year at UNI, that's where I really got a lot of my end zone touchdowns was that dig route out of one of our goal line packages. So I really enjoy that route. Another route that I enjoy would be what we call a dime route, just a 10-yard stop. Because again, I can be physical at the top of that too as well. I'm a big receiver, so my catch radius is pretty big, and that was one of my favorite routes to run when I was at Iowa as well. So those are two routes that I feel like probably don't get to talking much. I might not have been able to run them as much, but those are my two favorite ones.
That's awesome. I love that. And I think you answered my third question when I was going to talk about your red zone threat, because you have 9 touchdowns on 100 targets, so super efficient in the red zone. And I was going to ask you, what makes you that red zone threat other than you being 6'2", 219? Is it your catch radius, or is it your ability on press man to beat off at the line of scrimmage? What do you like to do in the red zone?
I think it's both. I think my catch radius definitely helps me. I got like big hands, so like if you can get it in there, my eyes get like wide when I'm like 30 yards out from the end zone, because I know like this is my bread and butter. So when I get in there, I feel like something just really switches for me. And as long as the ball is, since it's such a short area of the field, I know the ball is coming like this. So I'm able to really make my moves quicker, be more physical, and my catch radius allows me to bring that ball in. So I just feel more comfortable in the red zone. So I think that's really what it is, my catch radius and my comfortability.
For sure, yeah. I liked your Iowa State touchdown in 2023. That was a good slant in the middle that you kind of put all your physicality into them and then opened up in the middle. But, yeah. Jeff, on to you.
All right. So let's talk about 2 different games. All right. We'll start with Youngstown State. And this one checks all the boxes. Number of catches, 7. Yards, over 100. Found the end zone. Had a long of 39. So you hit the big plays, you hit it all. Check. Tell me about that game.
Yeah, I think that game, like I said, we had a new coaching staff, so they were still trying to figure out how they wanted to use different things, and each week was different. We were trying things different each week, and that week specifically, my coaches just told me, like, hey, we're going to put a lot of trust into you this game, and we want to see what you can do. And I was eager. I was hyped for that. So they kind of put me in position to make some plays. And when I had that green light and I had that goal, I was ready for it. And I think it showed in that game that my eagerness when I had that ball in my hand, I was ready to go. And something I just felt like that's a time where opportunity met preparation, and that was my best game. So I enjoyed it a lot. That's probably my favorite one. My favorite one of the 2024 season.
It's an amazing game. Unfortunately, you guys didn't come out on top. You lost in overtime, but I watched it. It was a heck of a game by both teams. Let's go the opposite route here. Let's go Valparaiso. Mm-hmm. Okay, now this one's kind of rough here. We got 2 catches. We ended up with negative yards, so they weren't very long. So you had a long of 3. So that means the other one was unfortunately 4 in the wrong direction. But let's talk about that game. What was the biggest obstacle for you in that game to get going?
I think it was just kind of still getting warmed up. Like the coach was getting acclimated to who I was and what I could bring to the team. Again, it was a tough game where we were kind of minimalizing our playbook. It was one of the home openers where we weren't really trying to do too much. So it was a real simplified scheme, but nonetheless, I had 2 catches and I didn't make something happen. So that was probably one of my bad ones. And I used it for motivation though in a later games. Like I knew I had to make something up after those games. So again, it was just a mixture of not taking advantage of those 2 catches, and then the playbook being minimalized because it was a home opener. So,
Gotcha. All right. So you're a bigger receiver. The next level, it gets tougher, right? So you're going to see better players, tougher schemes, things of that nature. One of the biggest things they want to see from bigger receivers, otherwise you get pigeonholed into certain roles like a possession receiver, right? They want to see those big catches that you have. You have a lot of catches of double digits or more, right? So they want to see that production, but they want to see it finish in the end zone. They also want to see red zone production where you're getting those catches in the red zone, the finishing drives for them. How are you going to take your game to the next level and show up in those 2 areas?
I think it's just continue to prepare, man. The way I prepare, continue to try to get my lower half stronger, be able to get my balance corrected more. I'm fully healed now. Actually, the last season, I played the entire season on a broken foot, and I didn't know that until after the season. And now that I feel fully healed, now that I feel like I'm in a position to feel strong, I think my game will be at the next level because knowing that I played on a broken foot, now I'm healed, it just naturally I will play better. But in those 2 areas specifically making big catches, I think that's just, like I said, preparation. Continue to get connection with my quarterbacks, feeling comfortable with bringing that ball in from the air, more comfortable as I already am comfortable. And then my film from, like you said, nine touchdowns on 100 catches, that kind of shows that I'm comfortable in that red zone. So just having the opportunity to be at a camp or something like that, that's where I feel like the preparation will meet the opportunity again. And that's where I feel like I will show that my game translates from college to the NFL.
Okay. So, quarters coverage. What are your favorite routes when you're out there? You see quarters coverage. We know you're going to go to coach every time and say, Coach, call leads for me. I'll be open every time.
And that slot, because I played a lot of slot and quarter coverage. I think a good one would be just that 12-yard stop route because it's right in the sweet area where I can push further enough, make them believe that it's vertical, and get someone out of their zone and sit down. So I think that 12-yard stop is one of my favorite ones. I always can also do an out route, beating that inside guy, quick little 4-step out. I think those are 2 routes that I think I would call consistently to beat that coverage.
All right. You guys got any last questions for me?
Yeah, I have a couple last questions. So you mentioned your favorites. And I agree. I think the dig is what you do best. You made mention of that intermediate 12-yard stop. In the systems in which you played, how do you, when you hear those, your favorites come in, what are they actually called? Like, because you've played in more than one system, how do they sound in one system versus the systems you played in later?
So my Iowa, the way the Iowa play calls were being called, it was really one word for the entire play. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, we had a dig and a post would be called pin. And so I would know if I'm to the 3 or 2 side receiver, I will be running that post and that dig. If I'm backside by myself, it will be a comeback convert to cover 2. If it's cover 2, you'll just take it would be a shake route, dive route to out. But if they're playing man or cover 3 or anything opposite of cover 2, it'll just be the cover. It'll be the comeback. Mm-hmm. So at Iowa, it was a one-word play, one-word call for the entire play. At University of Northern Iowa, it was you would have different words for different routes. Mm-hmm. Or you would have signals is really what it was. We all had, the whole time was signals. There you had the play call. When you're on the field, it's a no-huddle play, and they're doing signals. So they would signal the first year, they would give signals from the sideline, and that would tell you the entire play. And then the next year, my last year, this past year, the quarterback gave signals for the plays. So I know the coaches are not there anymore, so I can kind of give a couple signals. If you had a 5 down, it would be just a simple crossing route. If you had 2s, it'll be mesh routes. 92, that would be the play call. It was similar to just your regular spread offense calls, like so 92, 95, like things like that. You consistently hear. So it was all signals versus a huddle and one word call plays. So that was a little bit different. But I actually like the signals more than I like the one word call plays. So it was quicker.
Got it. My final question is one of my favorites, and I can tell that by the way you answered about like the way you tag and adjust based on coverage. And of course, that's going to be a big part of making the adjustment because there's more combination coverages and more disguised coverages at the next level. So you are clearly a film student. Tell me about your favorite film study play that you've made in your college career. What play did you make that you could not have made unless you had spotted something, whether it be a tendency or something about a player or something about a coverage call that you saw on tape?
When you ask that question, the first one that comes to my head is South Dakota this past year at South Dakota. Watching film, they didn't respect certain teams that they feel like didn't have a deep ball threat. Right. And in the year, I kind of felt like we weren't completing a lot of the deep balls. So I felt like teams were seeing us the same way. They're playing man, playing quarters, and not respecting that deep ball threat. So I seen today at times they didn't have safety help sometimes. Like I thought that was really disrespectful. And I knew for a fact, like if they were doing that to us, like I'm telling Shaq, tag that post on the outside. If I'm on the outside, tag that post. Like there's nobody over the top. You got to tag that post. And that game, they did the same thing, man. They played man. They had no safety over the top. And the corner was belling, too. Like, he was belling. So I gave the signal to tag the post. I ran the post. It was probably, like, the second play of the game. And I had, like, a 40, 45, 50-yard catch, 50-yard bomb down for the post. So that was probably my favorite one, noticing the disrespect in the prior film and then seeing it live in the game and making that adjustment.
Okay. I've seen you hand out some punishment, but yeah, you're a guy that goes into places where also people wait to try to damage you. Who put it on you the most? Like, who was the person that you said, okay, that you got me? Who really got you good?
Ooh, let me think about that one because I'm not gonna act like it wasn't some times where I got hit because there's definitely some times where I got hit. I think the hardest hit that I took was it was Air Force. Man, those guys, they do some lifting up there for some. I know they do. So I think the that was probably my first game. It was my first game playing off ball tight end and having to do things like slice blocking.
Yep.
And it was probably like my second slice block where I was like, ooh, I gotta bring some umph to it. I can't wait. I can't let them come hit me. I gotta be doing the hitting. They're definitely gonna be bringing the power. So I think it was Air Force, who probably gave me my biggest challenge.
Yeah, I would agree. Some teams teach, that you shed or stack. They attack blockers, right? They want you to be back on your heels. So yeah, that was a good call there. Thank you so much. I really think that there's a place for you somewhere out there, and with your approach to the game, with your approach to being a part of the community, wherever it is you land, you're going to be a big part of whatever community that is. And the fact that whatever the team needs you to do, I know you'll do it. If they tell you we need you to go down and cover punts and kickoffs, then you're going to be one of the best at it.
Yes, sir. Well, again, I appreciate you asking the questions you asked and having me on here, taking the time out of y'all day. I don't know if y'all done, but I appreciate it.
Far from it. This is a marathon.
I've got a tough question for you.
Oh man,
what is your favorite meal?
my favorite meal? That's a good one. My mom got quite a few, but actually, I would say my favorite meal is a meal that I cook, and I learned it in college. It's I learned how to cook jerk chicken over rice. Oh my gosh, man!
There you go.
Beautiful choice. Beautiful.
I cook
Beautiful choice.
There we go.
Now your former teammate Sam is now playing for the Ottawa Red Blacks up here in Canada. I'm in Calgary. The Grey Cup this year is in Winnipeg, which is known to be the coldest place in Canada. Okay, even though the coldest Grey Cup I was ever at was in Ottawa, where Sam now plays. Would you welcome the opportunity to come up to the CFL as well?
For sure, and I love playing ball. So somewhere in the CFL, there's not no slouch league. Like that's a real professional league. So being able to play ball in a professional league like the CFL, I'm completely open to it. I just love.
You get 10 more yards in the end zone as well.
That is true. It is a couple different.
And you get a running start.
And you get to run. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Randall.
I had one left. Do you like any of the? Do you root for any NFL teams? Are you Chiefs fan?
I am a Chiefs fan. I'm a big Chiefs fan, but I'm a fan of whoever is really offering an opportunity right now. But I've been a big Chiefs fan my entire life. I grew up 8 minutes away from the Chiefs Stadium.
Right.
I previously spoke about this in a different interview. Dwayne Bowe was one of my favorite receivers. Like, the first person that got me into football. Like, I seen my first game and people screaming and cheering his name, and then he'll be somewhere at a gas station right down the street like a regular guy walking around the city. So I thought that was extremely cool that he's like this big NFL star, but he's moving around the city. Like he's just like me. And I thought that was super cool. He was one of the reasons, one of the big motivations for me to get into the game. So
for sure, that's great.
You physically are very much like Dwayne Bowe. Like you're exactly the same size. Who other than guys like Dwayne Bowe and D Hop, who else do you like to watch and sort of steal from?
I really, really love watching Keenan Allen. He's another big body, but the way he moves, like he moves so confident and he moves so twitchy. Like I love Keenan Allen's game. That's a guy that I watch a lot. I watched Kyle Pitts a lot just because he may be a little bit faster, but I like how he was big slot, tight end type of guy, and I felt like I could see my game in his as well. So
excellent.
That's
awesome. I know you're going to miss those one-word calls because they're going to get a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
So get used to hearing things like Rutgers, A-Jet, Bubble, All Curl Pop, and things like that because that's what you're going to be dealing with.
Well, that's roughly like how all my play calls really was. And Iowa too. Like Iowa was. Iowa, you'll have a number at the beginning to tell you the formation, then a number to tell you the strength of the offense. Then that's when the words start coming in for the O-lineman, the running back, and then you'll get your word where you'll hear what you have to do as a receiver. So you had to really be like in the huddle, like. So I'm kind of used to long play calls. That's why I said I like the signals better because it's no play call. You just see the hand signal, and you already know what you're supposed to do. So yeah,
See, I was an old West Coast coordinator, so the calls were extremely long. So, and then we used the numbers. So it wasn't like you had the names yet. So you were calling out numbers for everything. And if there were motions, then those numbers got flipped around because it's not where you're starting, it's where you're ending in the formation, where your number is going to come out. So, and then you still had to do the protection in the back, whether they're free releasing and all that other stuff. So a lot of verbiage in a play call and in the formation changed a lot. So the funny part is the West Coast is still around. You may run into that wherever you land, but it's a totally different verbiage now. When I hear Gruden in 2099 calling plays, and then I hear him in Las Vegas calling plays, there's two different Grudens because the stuff he said there was a word for everything, and then the verbiage around it for the motion and everything else.
Yeah.
So they found a way to adapt to the newer play calling. So you'll be happy with that portion. You still got to understand how to adjust it and flip it and do all the other stuff. But for me, I just want to say, man, thank you for coming on and hanging out late with us. So what is the plan for the next 3 days?
Man, I'm just working out with my trainer, keep my body right, keep my mind right, and control what I can control. Everything else that I can't control, just put it in God's hands and let Him do His work. Like I said earlier, man, I'm happy. I'm blessed to make it as far as I made it. So right now, I'm just controlling what I can control, man. That's what I'm doing for the next couple of days.
All right. Well, once again, thanks for coming on. Enjoy the process. Very few people get to go through it, so you're in that minority now. Like I said, we're here all weekend. Chris will have the info, so if you get called this weekend, you can come on and hang out with us for a few minutes and share the joy. We'll hear the family cheering in the background and enjoying themselves. If you get picked up afterwards, once again, we're here next week, so you can come on next week and share the joy with these guys as well.
That's perfect. Well, again, I appreciate y'all having me on here. It was really cool to get on here, man, and talk ball with y'all, so I appreciate y'all having me.
All right. Once again,
Awesome.
Desmond Hutson, wide receiver, Northern Iowa.
The dig master with the nasty blocking.
All right. See ya.
Thanks
Take
again,
care,
Desmond.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with TJ Session. We're going to the big man, guard tackle from California. So we'll be right back with more Draft Central right after this.
Streetwear is not dead. The next wave of black fashion comes out of the Bronx, New York. Rich Kid Clothing, picking up where FUBU, Rockaware, and Kyle Kanai left off. Rich Kid is for the next generation of Get Fly fashion heads. Use promo code MELLOW23 for 15% off your next order. And for orders over $100, there is free shipping. Again, use promo code MELLOW23 for 15% off your next order.
In 2006, we founded Yeti Coolers with a simple mission: build the cooler we use every day if it existed. One that was built for the serious outdoor enthusiasts rather than for mass discount retailers. One that could take the abuse we knew we'd put it through, out in the field and on the water. One that simply wouldn't break. We decided early on that production innovation would come from necessity and first-hand experience, not from market research and data analysis. Today, Yeti products perform when it matters most. Whether that be an excursion into the remote Alaskan wilderness, chasing redfish on the Gold Coast, or just getting together with friends in the backyard, we make gear that helps you stay out longer, travel farther, and live harder. Hashtag built for the wild.
Back here with Team NBS Draft Central, and that's right, get used to seeing these faces, folks, because you're going to see us for the next several days. As the draft starts tomorrow night, we're here live for every pick of the draft. Tune in 15 minutes before the draft kicks off. Tomorrow's 8 o'clock, so we'll be here at 7:45 for the first round. You'll see these fine gentlemen along with myself. Ashby Prasad is hosting, and along with several guests coming through the course of the next several days. It's going to be exciting times for these young men. We're going to be glad to sit here and talk about it, witness it, and hopefully educate you on some of the guys that you don't know about. You can have the TV on, the big networks, have us on as well. We're going to give you a lot more information. With that being said, speaking of information, we're going to bring on the big man. We're going to bring on TJ Sessions. We're talking offensive line with the offensive lineman from Cal. TJ, welcome to the show.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine, but you're doing better. You know, I see you're in the right demand, man. Every time I turn around, you're being called to this camp and that camp. So you're in demand. That's a good thing this time of year.
Yep, yes, sir. It's a great blessing to be in this process right now.
Wonderful. So these guys are going to get you started. I'm going to come up and bring up the rear, and we're going to get you some sleep when we're done with all this.
Sounds good.
Well, we had the great pleasure of speaking to one of your teammates, and I'm just going to say this. I go back and watch Cal, and I am astonished by how many good football players they have on defense at every level. A tremendous secondary. 3 guys who are probably going to get drafted from the secondary. At least 1 linebacker is going to get drafted. And, you know, I was impressed with the interior of the defensive line. What are some of the things that you learned by going against Cal's very talented defense?
Yeah, definitely learned that there's really good players out there. I think that, you know, with the best players in the defense, they're all leaders. So I feel like that kind of translated into their play. I just think that their work ethic really led them to their position that they're at right now.
Okay. As was just mentioned by my good friend Jeff, you had the opportunity to come to the attention of NFL scouts through your play throughout your college career, but also obviously your pro day. Tell me about your pro day experience. Did it match with what your expectations were?
I'm gonna say no on this one, just because I held really high expectations for myself. I think that, you know, my 40 could have been a little faster, as well as my L drill. I think I was really upset with those two. I think that I performed well in the explosion portion of the pro day, but other than that, you know, I put what I had out in the field, and that's what I got to stick with.
Well, what were your expectations for yourself? Like, what were your goals? What did you want to hit?
So for my 40, I wanted to hit a 5.1. I hit consistent 5.2s. I believe I hit a 5.4 for my 40. And my L drill, it blew me away, because I was hitting about 7.4 on average for my L drill. So I slipped on both of them. They didn't let me, or slipped on my L drill and my shuttle. They only let me go once. So.
Got it. And my next question, and the one that sort of always hits me. All the meeting rooms have a slightly different personality, but whenever you go into an offensive line room, everyone says we're a brotherhood, right? You hear that everywhere. I've noticed the offensive line room, it's actually true. No offense to people who have other positions. But whether it be the maybe competitive nature, whether it be the personality types, usually there's a little bit of something beyond just brotherhood. But for some, maybe it's just because maybe the lack of ego at the position. I've noticed that the offensive line group seems to be a particularly tight-knit group. Walk me through the personalities that met you when you first walked into Cal's offensive line meeting room, and how did those players who were in that room help to shape you as a person and as a player?
Yeah, so our offensive line room is definitely a special room. We're all real tight knit people. The way I like to explain it is, you know, at offensive line, you know, we all have to do the same thing. Not necessarily the same thing, but, you know, if we have one play, you know, we all have a job to do. And, you know, if one person messes up that job, then the whole entire play is messed up. So I like to see us all as one nickel and not one penny. So I think that, you know, being real tight knit as an offensive line is just always something, you know, great to have. I wanted to shout out my guy Matthew Cindric. He was one of the first guys that I encountered with that Cal. He was a center. He's playing for the Falcons right now. But, you know, just kind of watching him and you know, kind of learning off of what he does and his game and just seeing him as a leader kind of helped me put me in the position that I am right now.
TJ, what was your welcome to college football moment? Because you dominated a lot in high school, and then you know, now you're a freshman again, right? It's a very different world from what you were just doing at the high school level. what was the moment where it hit you? Oh, this is really different from high school.
I think it was the playbook. Usually, usually in high school, they'll be like, okay, we're gonna have this play, just run to the left. So I mean, then you get to college, and then there's plays with 10 words in one play, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's not just running to the left. That's I got to learn a lot, and I got to study all these hand signals and everything, and I think that was kind of different for me first, going into college, but I think that I adapted well to it.
Did you also cross train? I know a lot of people cross train where if you play this position, you also learn this position. Did you get that opportunity to cross train for other positions?
In college or just?
Well, I mean, college or now if you didn't do it in college.
Well, I'll start from high school. So in high school, I played defensive line for 3 years until my senior year, and then I played offensive line for 1 year. Started seeing offers, and then after that, going into college, I went to Montana State, and I was a right tackle. And I've been a right tackle pretty much my whole entire career. I played 2 games at guard.
And that's where people see you now, though, right?
Yes, correct. I got measured in at 6'3.5". 304 pounds right now. Well, actually, I don't know. I would say I'm 6'4". They made me slouch my shoulders. They made me slouch my shoulders, and I was like, you know what? It is what it is. But I always got made fun of for my own line for being small. But I mean, tell me how many 6'3" tackles started over 40 games.
Yes. I love the world that you live in where you are too small at 6'3" and 5/8 and 304 pounds. So. Did you lose weight for your pro day, or is that around the weight that you've been recently?
I'm usually sit at 310. My weight fluctuates crazy. Usually I'll wake up and I'll be right now I wake up at 310, but around the time training for pro day, I'll wake up at like 304, 305, and then midday to later in the day I'll be about 310. Oh,
okay. Were you also I'm assuming you were on a special routine in terms of what you were eating and when you were eating?
Oh, for sure. Yes. I had a nutritionist and a dietitian as well. So I try to aim for 8,000 to 10,000 calories a day.
Of your special meals that you are eating or had to eat for this, what was your favorite? This is a different one from your question, Greg. It's not going to ruin your question, I promise. But of those special meals, which one did you kind of look forward to, and which one were you like, well, it's for the greater good, right? And you were able to fight through it.
I'm not big on fish, so I started eating salmon a lot lately. But I like to mix it in, make like a salmon chicken Alfredo pasta or salmon kind of pasta. So that was one that I don't really look forward to, but I still eat it. But anything meat, all you can eat meat, it's my favorite thing. So.
Could be a practice, or it could be a game. But who was the defensive tackle that made you say, oh, okay, wait, I'm going to have to work on this?
Ooh, let's see. I usually went up against defensive ends.
That's right, right, because you have been a tackle mostly, right?
Yep.
Okay, well then, which defensive end? Because you're a guard on my board, so you're a guard in my head now. But
yeah.
But in your career, which defensive end then was the guy that said, "Okay, I got to work on technique, feet, hands, something"?
I would say, Reese in practice, David Reese. I think he's at Syracuse right now. He was transferred from Florida, went to Cal for a little bit. But his spin move, I don't know, something about his spin move always got me. So I always had to work on, keeping nice tight hands, not leaning in my punch, and quick feet. So I know it was Reese. But just to shout out some players, Lasu Leatu from UCLA. I believe he was first round a year ago. Very good player. Braylon Trice, number 8 from Washington. Very good player. Jonah Ellis from Utah. Very good player. All those players that I went against, very, very good players, and really tested me to, be really firm in my technique.
Okay, excellent. Well, okay, my last question for this segment. You've done cross training, obviously, you mentioned. Have you worked at all on snapping the football?
Yes, I have. So it's funny. So my coach, Coach Blesh, he told me that like when coaches and scouts come in, for fall camp and spring ball, that they all wanted to see me at center and guard just because of my size. So what he would do is we would do CQ exchange, which is like the first 10 minutes of practice where all the centers would snap to the quarterbacks just to warm up. I would be a part of that. So I would snap every single play, not every play, but would snap before every single practice, and leading up till now, I've been snapping a lot, but never played a snap of center besides a few one-on-ones at practice.
Yeah. Well, guess what? The NFL doesn't care. A team will still take you and say, "Hey, you're a center, right?"
Hey, I'm fine with anything.
Okay, so thank you so much, and I'll open it up to everyone else.
Well, since Mr. Bill already asked you a food question, I ask every one of our interviewees their favorite meal. What is your favorite meal?
Like I said, all you can eat meat. I would say anything barbecue. I'm a big cook myself. I've been making these tri-tip steak sandwiches. They are so good.
There you go.
They are delicious. I wish we could put it up on the screen right now, but they're delicious. I got a little meat probe, and I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's like a little meat probe that you put inside your meat, and then it kind of calculates the time when your meat would be ready. And I use that thing all the time. It's so good.
That's called being an amateur cook yet still, but okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'll listen to him.
Hey, my old man was a military cook, and there was no meat probes allowed. Okay, there was no probing. But anyhow,
my dad he was a 20-year drill sergeant.
Oh, in the Marines?
Yep, in the Marines, yes, sir.
Hoorah! I am a former Marine as well for 15 years.
Oh. Okay. Thank you for your service.
So anyhow, you played in the Big Sky, the Pac-12, and the ACC conference. Did you worry about the switch over to the ACC this year and the extra travel and all that fun sort of stuff that you guys had?
I get that question a lot. I think it's different to ask me. I had a first class seat, so we had the lay down seats. The seats where you recline back and lay down. So I was comfortable. So I can't really answer for the other guys, but I was comfortable. I think I saw a video that they said that we traveled the whole circumference of the world.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool to see. I think that the biggest thing is probably after games. For example, I think we played Florida State late night, and we didn't get back home until I want to say 4:30 a.m.
Oh, sweet God!
So yeah, I would say it kind of messed up our sleep schedule. But then other than that, it is what it is. And at the end of the day, you can control what you can control and just keep moving.
Yeah. And as far as becoming a center, Cooper Beebe never took a snap at center, and he started for the Cowboys at center all year. So, that's just a foregone conclusion with the NFL these days. With being a guard, though, DTs come at you a lot quicker than the DEs do.
Yes.
What is your best move to stop the DT? What's your best move?
So one thing that I feel like I have an advantage is that playing tackle at such a small size, you have to know your reach and you have to know your length. And I think that, playing, I always play guys that are bigger than me, height-wise, and I think that really taught me, hand placement and how to strike fast, and also, when to strike. So I think that, when I got switched to guard for a few games, I think that I just have natural quick feet and quick hands enough just to stop their charge.
And you also have a better pad level.
Yes, built-in pad level.
Right, exactly. Which is something that most people don't understand, the pad level arguments. When you talk about Deion Walker from Kentucky being such a big, tall player. Well, yeah, he had his back injured this year, so he obviously had to rush guys being more stood up than people understood, right?
Yep, yes, sir.
But again, with you moving to guard and or center for the NFL, what teams have you been in touch with?
I've been in touch with a few teams. I had my local pro day with the San Francisco 49ers, with the Chargers. I've talked to me and also my agent. We talked to the Steelers, Kansas City Chiefs, Carolina Panthers, Jaguars, Colts. There's a few Falcons, Seahawks. Falcons, Seahawks, Colts. There might be a few more, but probably about 8 teams so far that we've been in contact with.
Nice, because the other DT that we had on from Cal just last week was much more of a hoorah type of an attitude, and I asked him if he was from the Marine, and now I get a Marine anyway. I like that. I like that.
Yes, sir.
Well, go ahead, Randall.
All right. Yeah, you are very fierce in the run game and run blocking. Super quick, going across the line and moving and things along those lines. What's your favorite thing about run blocking and moving vertical instead of back? And other than Jaden Ott, who's your favorite running back to block for?
Isaiah Fonte, running back. I don't know why he did not go to the NFL. I think that he should be in the NFL right now. That is one of the best running backs that I have ever played for. He's a dog. If you're watching this, Zay, you're a dog. I don't know. It's something about like he can just hit that hole, run fast, and it just I don't know what it is for running backs. It's like yards. What is it called? Yards past contact. But I've seen 5 guys on the defense hit him, and he's still running. So yeah, he's a little tank.
That's awesome. And you had those collegiate guard snaps like midway through this year with Wake Forest and Syracuse. So how did that come into fruition? Was it an injury related that pushed you into guard, or it was an injury related? And then how did those games go? And then what was the conversations after? Is that where the guard conversation started happening?
So basically what happened was our starting guard, Bastion Sweeney, he had gone down with an injury, and they said that they needed somebody to step up. I've always wanted to play guard. Just because my size, and I've never played guard before. And it's actually kind of funny. So Bastion had gone down. They were testing out other guards on our team, and we kind of weren't getting what we wanted. So they're like, TJ, you're playing guard. This was 3 days before the game. Keep in mind, I've never played guard before, but I feel like I have good football IQ enough, to move in any position on the field. So they moved me to guard 3 days before the game. I was doing nonstop film study, and I remember it was my first 4 one-on-one reps I've won, and I was like, okay, this is. I feel comfortable playing guard. I think it's just because you're used to. I'm used to playing tackle where, I'm getting guys lining up in a wide 9. And, there's no contact until 3-4 steps, rather than, playing guard and you're taking 2 steps, you're already in contact. And I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I believe the Wake Forest was before Syracuse, and it looked like you were so comfortable in that spot. It was really fun.
That was 3 days of practice. Well, really 2.
Yeah. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but you work with some charities. Is that correct?
You said I work with charity?
Yeah, you work with some charities. Is that
correct?
Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
I work with. And you combined that. You combined that with your pro day. Did you end up doing that for the charity with your bench reps?
Yes, correct. I said for every bench, or for every 1 bench press I bench, if you could donate for that, I hit 30 reps.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I believe that would have been second in combine, if I'm not mistaken.
I was disappointed because I wanted some extras, but that's what we got.
Yeah, and it's a charity that deals with kids with cancer, right? If you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I think that, a lot of kids don't have, the opportunity and chance, not necessarily the opportunity and chances. Let me rephrase. I just believe that, in that position, kids would do anything, especially to be in my position. And I feel like, me just doing little things like that just to help the kids out is really big to me. So that's one big thing that I hold in my heart.
That's awesome. I love that. Those are my questions. Jeff, on to you.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you an attaboy first before I ask my question. And, when I was going through and I wanted to pull some photos, this one came up and I said, I know an O-line coach that would be proud of this, because this is what we talk about by maintaining demeanor. For any young offensive lineman that are still awake watching this show, that's how you do it, right? You play with Ben, you play with leverage. There's power behind that. The feet are underneath. And yes, he's kick sliding, that back foot is up, but it's going to hit the ground real fast, and that foot's going to come sliding back along with it. That's an attaboy. You're getting an attaboy for that one, right?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Your offensive line coach should have pulled this up and said, "You freshmen, this is how you do it." You know, so
I appreciate it.
All right, so let's get to the real fun stuff. All right, you're going inside. You're going into the phone booth, right? Now you're going up against those guys who are just as big, sometimes a little bit bigger, but fast. They're on you fast, and they're really, really, really bull strong. So what is the plan now? Because before the plan was different, to meet them at the point, cut them off, and make them play through you, right? Now this guy's going to play through you no matter what, and sometimes he's going to play around you. So what is going to be your game plan going in against these bigger bodies?
I want him to. I mean, if that's what you want to do, if you want to try to run through my face, go ahead and try. I think that's something that I'm really good at. Is the ability to sit down blocks fairly fast, and my anchor is I would say it's pretty good when it comes to doing that. So I'll invite him to do that.
He's already speaking in football speak. He said anchor. Most fans don't even know what anchor means. They're still thinking of cruise ships. No, we're talking about the ability to set down and power down a rush that comes down the middle. Anchor. Good job.
Sure.
Great job. Great terminology. So, being at your right tackle in practice, you were matched up with another prospect that I got to see recently in the last few months.
Xavier Carlton.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Tell me about some of those practice matchups.
Oh man, for one, I mean, just to start for him, great player, dog, has a great attitude, great mindset for everything. He's a great leader, great person altogether. I remember I was doing some surveys that the Colts, Seahawks, and Cowboys had sent me early on in the process, and they asked who would I take to the NFL with me, and that's one of the number one players that I would take with me. But yeah, to get to your question, X, he's a very, very, very long player. So, with me being 6'3", or I'm 6'4". So with me being 6'4", I would say one thing that I would have to do with X is to chop down his arms, because that's one thing that he likes to play with. He likes to play with length. And I'm used to going against guys like that. So I think that one big thing with X is just, take away his length and take away space fast. But a great player overall.
Oh yeah. I was impressed when I saw him over here in Florida at the Hula Bowl. Different from seeing him on film. Everybody looks big on film. When you stand next to him, you really get a feel for how tall he really is.
Yeah, he's a big guy. Yep.
So kicking inside, you're going to be dealing with a lot more of the blitz looks. Before you had to deal with the fast guys, now you're going to have to deal with everything, right? You saw a lot of double-A gap pressure when you did move inside?
Yep, we call it leg cross. Any kind of double-A gap pressure, yes, sir.
All right, so give me 3 ways you'll use to block this one.
Yeah, easy. So I would say that it depends what kind of protection that we're in. Let's just say that we're in a Louis protection. That means that we're going to slide the left tackle, left guard, and center to the left. And then that means that we have the right tackle and right guard. They're going to be man on. In a Louis protection, we would point. So I'm trying to look 58. We point 58. That'd be the point. And then the running back would take the other one.
Gotcha. What's the next one?
Another one I would say is we would be in a Frankie Florida protection. That's just our 5-man protection. The running back goes out. It really depends on film and game planning. This could easily be a sim kind of pressure. I'm sure you guys know what that is, but that's usually when they're showing that they're going to bring all the guys, but they usually drop one. So we would usually game plan to see who's dropping. We'd say that the end on the right tackle, we're just going to say that he's dropping. On Florida, we would call it a squeeze call. That would put the left guard on 59 and the right tackle squeezing down on the guy who's head up.
Good job. All right, so let's move to a different front. All right, so you got a wide front here, right? Walked up linebacker, but you got 3 different guys that can come well, technically 4 if you count the slot, but 3 different safeties at shallow depth that can come at it from any place. Where are your eyes going to go if you're in, say, big on big protection?
Like you're saying, if we make, I would say a 5-0 protection, so that means everybody's man.
Yep.
What position am I playing?
You're at your guard, right guard.
I'm right guard. Okay, so if I'm right guard, we would probably say I was the center. I'd probably make the slide to the left, putting basically sliding all 3 guys to the left. As the guard, I would help out the center first, and if sorry, let me look at this closely. Screen small.
Yeah, I wish I could zoom in for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to zoom in.
So basically, you got 2 3s, right?
Yes, sir.
One's a tighter 3.
He looks like he's a no, or he's on a G.
Yeah, you could call him that.
Yeah,
he'd be more of a 2 than he is a 1.
Yeah.
So,
I would just take. I would take him over. It really depends on what slide that we're in. 1, 2.
Yeah, you got a
7
as
a right guard. I would just take over the 2. And you'd be man on.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So get that off the screen. All right. So give me a matchup where you felt you dominated the whole game, but it didn't show up on the stat sheet.
Oof. Honestly, I feel like there's a few. I feel like PFF sometimes I don't know. But
you have a couple of guys on this show that aren't exactly the biggest fans of those 3 letters. But anyway,
come on, how do you grade PFF on O-line? You don't even know what the play is. I'm sorry, I feel a way about it. But I would say probably Stanford. I think that's one of my better games. My last ever home game that we played, that was the game that we had a 98 yards for the last play. But I would definitely say Stanford.
Okay. Cool. And you answered those so well, we blew through all my questions. See, most people, it takes them about 10 minutes to get through all that. You blew through it in 3 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Coach Blesh, my coach, O-line coach that used to be at Cal, we didn't the quarterback didn't usually call the calls, and it was usually the center. And I think that, me being the leader of the O-line, I kind of, had enough film sessions where, I'm asking, hey, center, who's the point on this one? And kind of, paying attention to that, and really just knowing that, teams want me to play center or guard at one point, why not learn it in college? So I'm not trying to cram everything in.
Yeah, that's a special thing when you get a quarterback that does it. Usually they trust the offensive lineman to do it because some quarterbacks have no idea what they're looking at. So,
Well, hey, Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback that we had at Cal, great guy. Definitely one of the smartest guys that I've ever been around. He was probably in the stadium and film room longer than the coaches were, and I can say that with confidence. So,
yeah.
You know about Noah?
I'm sorry?
Was that Noah you were talking about?
No. Fernando Mendoza.
Fernando. Yeah, Fernando.
Yep.
Who is at Indiana now, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah. I think he's been one heck of a prospect when his time comes.
For sure. Yeah, you guys will be talking to him next year.
Yeah, and people are sleeping on how good an athlete he is. He's much more athletic than most people realize.
Very good athlete. Very good athlete.
All right. Any last questions, guys?
Yes, I'll fire off my last ones. So if there was a block that was going to be, you just saw this beautiful show of your technique moment a few moments ago, but if there were a block in your career that would be turned into a sculpture, right? Where people could see this block forever, right? Long after you're gone, long after all is gone, people could see this perfect block that TJ made. What block would you pick and why?
There's a few. There's a few that I can think of. There's 3 specifically. We'll stick with one for now. There's one, Oregon State, 2023, I believe. Yeah, 2023. We were on the right hash, and I believe. So we watched film, and I think it was like third down, third and long, or no, third about like 3rd and 6, I want to say. And we saw that they had a tendency of sliding the backers over towards the boundary side. So I like to read, what's in front of me. For one, when I get on the line of scrimmage, I like to read their eyes. I like to read their ankles. I like to read everything. For example, if a D lineman's going to slant, he's going to get tighter on you. or defensive end specifically. If he's going to slant, he's going to get tighter to your body. Usually, he's gonna look where he's going. Some undisciplined defensive ends will do that. They'll look where they're going before they'll go. So I like to read that as well. And sometimes you can see their ankle twitching either way. So it was Oregon State, and he lined tight on me, and I saw the backer was off levels, or the wheel was off levels with the mic, and I already knew what they were going to bring. So they brought the defensive end to the B gap and slanted the wheel backer over to the C gap. I knew they were going to do that, so I stepped inside, baited him to go in the B gap, gave him a shoulder, popped it back, hit him and hit the defensive end and the backer and the wheel backer, both put him on their butt, and then Isaiah Fonse hit the hole up straight for a touchdown. So that was one of my favorite plays.
Yeah, that should be a sculpture. Actually, that is the kind of thing that should be preserved for all time. Thank you. Okay. I do have one last final question. So, you are at, as I am reminded constantly by everyone I've ever known who's gone to Cal, at America's #1 public university. And give me your proudest academic moment in your career at Cal.
My 30-page thesis that I wrote for my senior thesis, it was on mental health and student athletes.
Oh, excellent. Is that something you would like to work with when your playing days are over?
Potentially. I always want to do stuff that helps people. One thing I've actually been doing is training offensive linemen on my off time. So I've been training high school kids on my off time, and kind of I don't really want to say it's like a training kind of thing, even though I train them. I want them to look at it more like a mentorship. I feel like there's a lot of things, with me growing up that I didn't have training wise, and kind of, football, and especially being an offensive line is more than a physical thing. It's more, it's a mental thing as well. And to be able to go through 6 years of college, it's not all physical. It's definitely a lot more mental than physical. So I think that definitely kind of helped me get through this process. And yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Randall.
Oh, no, actually, I covered my question, so I'm good. I appreciate you coming on, TJ. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, listen, we hope you're enjoying this process. I don't think it's way over. I don't think it's over anytime soon for you. I look forward to at some point hearing your name called during these 3 days. When that happens, Chris will have the link. You can come on and share the joy with the world. We're looking forward to seeing what happens these next 3 days. You have any special plans for these 3 days?
No special plans. Just getting back to work and training. Probably getting off my mind, getting stuff off my mind. Probably go fishing these next couple of days, just so I'm not cooped up in the house and really doing nothing. I find enjoyment in fishing and cooking. So fishing, cooking, and training is what I'm going to be doing during this process. And you mentioned Chris, and I just wanted to shout him out for being a great agent, and thanks for all you do. So, yes, sir.
Definitely a friend of the show. I appreciated Chris a lot. Get you guys on here, but most importantly, he's Mr. Dependable. When I call him up or email him or text him, it's like, hey, what you got? He's always like, here we go. So he's ready to go all the time. You got a good agent, so he's definitely looking out for you guys. We hope you enjoy it. Go get some rest. And matter of fact, before you go, you say you're not a big salmon guy. I'm a huge salmon guy.
It's growing on me a little bit.
Fish I can eat all day.
Sauce on it.
You like grits?
Oh! I just made some savory shrimp and grits 2 days ago.
Okay,
best thing ever.
All right.
Best thing ever. Yeah, I mean, if we're all together one time, you got to try my food. I'm telling you, it's good.
Okay. All right.
You grill up a nice salmon fillet.
Oh, I haven't done. I haven't put salmon on the grill yet, but I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, put it on the grill. Right. You don't season it up. Just simple seasoning. Make sure you're buttering it up along the way so it keeps it nice and moist. And then you put that in the grits.
Okay.
I'll
put a little bit of honey and brown sugar on it too.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't
No,
do
I like
I don't
that.
do sweet
I can't
grits.
have it.
I don't
But
do sweet grits.
you need to have the Atlantic salmon versus the Pacific salmon.
Okay.
The Atlantic salmon is a much better. It's not as rich tasting as the Pacific salmon is, which is what you've been eating. Is the Pacific.
Okay. I'm definitely. I'm gonna go to the store tomorrow. I'm going to Costco. Probably spend my every.
Shout out to Costco.
Shout out to
NIL
Costco. They take all my money.
Yeah. Well, hey, but yeah, get the Atlantic salmon.
Okay, we'll do. I think the last time I went to Costco, I spent $460 in the last like 2.5 weeks. So we got to re-up on my Costco trip again.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. We look forward to seeing what happens the next couple of days.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate all you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Hoorah!
I'll tell my dad that I think he's going to be watching this. So I'll make sure he knows.
There you go.
There you go.
My mom as well, and my sister and my other sister. So them too.
Okay. All right.
Beautiful.
Any other athletes in the group?
My mom was a track athlete at Oregon.
Okay.
Yep. But I mean, that's about it.
That counts.
That
Yep.
counts.
I'm the youngest of 3 sisters. So.
Okay.
Yes. Well, as also a fellow son of a Marine, I'm going to tell your father Semper Fi.
Yeah,
That's right.
Always faithful. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
That has been our talk with TJ Sessions, guard/tackle from Cal. Good luck this weekend, TJ.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys have a blessed day.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So we're here, and it's go time. Once we log off, the next time everybody sees us, it's going to be time to get ready for the commissioner to come to the stage and start talking about who's going where. Are y'all ready to go?
Yes, we
Ready.
are. Tyler Lockett just signed with the Tennessee Titans.
Yep.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
That's good.
The steal the Captain Kirk meme.
Yeah. I'm whelmed.
Yeah.
Yep. So Cam Ward has another target.
Yep.
Well,
Right?
we're going to find out in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, we will.
We're no more days, weeks away. It's hours now.
Hours.
You know,
Hours.
Before we know it, it'll be minutes. So, with that being said, everybody, thank you for hanging out on. This is the long night. You know, this is because we do the mocks, we bring people on. This is the long night, and it gets even longer tomorrow. This is 2.5 hours tonight. We're definitely going to be on. It's still going after 2.5 hours. There'll still be picks coming off the board. But we appreciate you sticking with us. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, 7:45. We go live here. Ashra Prasad is the host. You'll see all these gentlemen here on the show. Some of us a little longer than others. Randall gets the easy night for night one, but then he's back with us. You know, then he's back with us the rest of the way. So he's gonna be anchored down in that chair. We hope you get your cooler ready, Randall, because you're gonna need it for those 2 days.
Oh, I got a whole setup ready. I'm good to go. I'm excited. Right. It's here.
I missed my second coffee maker because I used to keep it in the office. I'd have my coffee while I'm So yeah, I'm gonna have to get the box of Joe. The box of Joe will work just fine.
There you go.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Or just get the actual caffeine patch, just right here.
Yeah, no, it's not as fulfilling, right? You know, you don't.
Yeah.
Taste it.
No.
Or if you do taste it, it tastes like metal.